Stand up, New York Giant fans. Baddog, it's been a very, very long, depressing 10 days for a New York Giant fan after that atrocious loss against the Washington football team. So I want to get over it. And the only way to get over it, Baddog, is to get a win on Sunday.
Yeah, this is true. And yeah, we talked about it. We were either going to a wedding or a funeral. And right up to the end, we thought we had the wedding. And then the next thing you know, that's twice the Yankees grounded out, flew out deep to center. But yeah, we thought we had a wedding there. And the last thing you know, the bride runs away, left the groom at the altar. That's what happened to us on Thursday. It was terrible. But yeah, I got to move on, man. Got to beat Atlanta. Like I said, it's Eli Manning Day. Can't be losing this game at home against one of the worst teams in football. Not that we're great, but we're better than Atlanta. We should be able to beat this team.
We'll see. Huge game. Obviously, I think it's a must-win game. I'm sure everybody in the chat agrees with that. Let's say hello to a couple people in the chat. See Giants fan in the chat, Dara Giants fan in the chat, Ruben in the chat, Dustin in the chat, Robbie in the chat, Luann in the chat, Sunday in the chat, Steppen in the chat, that one guy in the chat, Nader in the chat, the sports influencer in the chat. Kevin, what's going on, man? What's going on, Immortal? What's going on, Christopher? Thanks for popping in the stream. So, yeah, the Giants are actually favored in this game. The Giants coming in, unless it's changed, I think, as a 3.5-point favorite going up against Atlanta. When you look at, and I don't like to look ahead of Atlanta because you take one game at a time, especially when you're a team like the New York Giants. You don't take anybody for granted. You know, I've come out and said that I want this to be a comfortable win. I expect the New York Giants to win convincingly, but I don't take anybody for granted with this football team. Since I've been on YouTube, they are 15-37. And they're off to another 0-2 start. I think they've had 9 out of their last 10 years. They've been off to an 0-2 start. So we got to find a way to get a win, plain and simple. And maybe that starts to get things going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, again, the 0-2 sucks. And it's just amazing how things are worked out differently. The difference it would have made the way we looked at things if we would have won that game. Because everything being equal, everything would have been the same except for Lawrence doesn't jump off sides or win the game. We're all talking about, hey, look at the Giants, man. We should be 2-1. We will beat Atlanta. We're going to be on a roll. And then you lose a game like that, and you're like, Jesus, here we go again. So it sucks. And when you play on Thursday, it's rough when you lose. It's like losing a baseball game, you know, like blowing a game in the top of the ninth. You up 4-0. You blow a game in the top, and you end up losing 5-4, and then you got to fly all the way out west or something. Like you got to get on a plane. You have that long plane flight when you lose in a terrible way. Not that the Giants had a long flight from, you know, DC, but that 10 days off is just, it's got to be eating at them. And, you know, they did a lot of good things in that game. They just weren't able to close it out. So you hope that Chris, the biggest thing to me with this team is they got to learn how to win. And I thought maybe at the end of last year, we kind of saw that they did figure that out, which is why I think a lot of us were so optimistic going into the year, especially adding a Kenny Golladay and adding a Dory Jackson. We're 5-3 in our last 8 games with Daniel Jones being out a couple games and not being completely healthy. No Saquon Barkley. And you're thinking, Jesus, we get Barkley back. We got a number 1 receiver. And now we shored up the number 2 cornerback spot. We got a, you know, great coach, and we got a great defensive coordinator, and they got a whole year. And you go in optimistic, and here we are again, 0-2. So got to win Sunday, man. It's got to happen. I think it will.
Yeah, I mean, football is true. I mean, it truly is a game of inches, and that game goes to show it. Whether it be inches off of Darius Slayton's hand, inches of whether or not Dexter Lawrence was going to be offsides, and it is funny how one game could change the complete mindset of an entire fan base. If we're 1-1 going into that game, nobody's talking about Kadarius Tony's playing time. Nobody's talking about Darius Slayton drop ball or Dexter Lawrence being offsides or you name it. Whatever the hot topics have been over the last 10 days, everybody's just saying, okay, Daniel Jones looked really good. We got a big win on the road in the division, and we're 1-1, and we got a winnable game coming up against Atlanta. But because the balls didn't fall our way, and a lot of that had to do with the New York Giants themselves, the defense was a mess. Now we're going into a game where it's a must-win game, and there's a lot of pressure on the line. And if they don't win this game, well, I don't need to say what, you know, where we're probably headed this year. So got to find a way to get a win on Eli Manning Day, and hopefully they do it right. Stagnant, man, thank you very much. Did you watch the Tony presser? What did you think? I did. I mean, listen, here's what I'll say about Kadarius Tony. I know why fans are like, I guess, like behind him in the sense that he's, I guess, going after the press. But what I'll say, my opinion, no matter how you feel, it's probably not the best professional decision for Kadarius Tony before he has any accolades, before he's even gotten on the football field, to attack the press. That's just my honest opinion. I'm not saying, I agree with his stance at times that the media is clowns. I think we all agree with that. But you're never going to win when you go up against the New York media, especially when you're in an environment like the New York Giants are now. I mean, they're 0-2. Things aren't going good. That's just my opinion. I know fans got a kick out of it, the way that he handled some of it. Not very professional for a rookie. That's my honest opinion. And I'm going to support the guy, but probably not the wisest choice, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video on it. I pretty much said the same thing, and I understand you're frustrated. We're all frustrated, and yeah, the media, especially New York, there are a ton of clowns in the media. There's no doubt, but you're not going to win that battle. You'll never win. You'll never win battling the media. You'll never win battling the fans. It sucks, but you know what? That's part of your profession. You get paid millions of dollars. It doesn't matter what the fans say about you. It doesn't matter what the media says about you. You got to suck it up. That's part of it. That goes with the territory as a professional athlete. You are in the spotlight, especially in a place like New York or Philadelphia, Boston, the bigger markets. I mean, the fan bases are very brutal. They love their team. I mean, they love their teams. We love our team. But at the same time, man, if you don't perform or we think you're dogging it, or the media thinks you're dogging it, they will go after you. Then that's what they do, which is why these fan bases are so passionate. But yeah, he's not going to win that battle. He did apologize for it, and that's fine. But
he did. But if you watch the clips over the last day, he's basically mocking the media.
Yeah, you're not going to win that.
Fans, sure. But do I think it's a good decision on his part? No. I mean, he was laughing at the media, so on and so forth. He was being rude. And I know fans are like, yeah, the media sucks. But if I was in his position, would I be doing that for a guy that hasn't stepped on the football field yet? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, as a guy that has less receiving yards than I do, I probably wouldn't be saying shit either. And he does have less receiving yards.
Man. I mean, so I don't think it's the best decision on his part.
No,
I don't know why, Zeke, it doesn't pop up on the StreamYard, but they got this new.
Yeah, it doesn't. The member thing. Yeah, it doesn't pop up on my StreamYard either. I don't know what that. I don't know what that is.
Why that is, but I can read it off the phone. Zeke, man, thank you so much for being a member of the channel, man. Says Tony should not be on the team with signing Golladay. Drafting Tony in the first when the O-line help is desperately needed is another Dave Gettleman gem. Zeke, I've gotten sick and tired of defending Dave Gettleman year after year after year, and trying to buy into the rebuild. I mean, I have not hid this the entire offseason. I thought it was a big mistake not to address the offensive line in the offseason. I like the value for the trade. And the most ironic thing is, Baddog, that fans were clamoring for Dave Gettleman to trade down. They every draft, they're like, he's got to trade down. And then when he does it, it now looks like he might have screwed it up anyway. So it never works. And hopefully it does, but we'll see how Tony does on the football field. But this offensive line is still certainly a big question mark.
Yeah, I mean, the last video I did was, why did we draft Kadarius Tony? And it's not because I don't think Kadarius Tony can be good. So I was like, leave it. Remember, and I got a lot of people saying, "Oh, he doesn't know the playbook, and he does it," and that's fine. But as a team, when you're scouting players and you're interviewing players to draft them, you have to know this. And when you're the New York Giants and you've been a terrible football team, you've had the worst record in the NFL since 2016 or since the beginning of 2017, you don't draft projects in the first round. You don't do that. You have to draft players that are going to come in here and make an immediate impact. And when you go out and you sign Kenny Golladay for $72 million, the wide receiver is not the necessity there in the first round. I'm not saying Kadarius Tony can't be a big piece of what we do. He's got the talent to do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have taken him 20th overall. But if he's not ready to play in the NFL, if he's still raw, you don't draft him there. I'm sorry. Maybe Kadarius Tony's better for another. It's like Kyle Pitts going to Atlanta. That was a terrible pick. Kyle Pitts is going to be great. They don't need Kyle Pitts. That was a terrible pick for Atlanta. Terrible. They don't need Kyle Pitts there. And the Giants, is like a few years ago, they didn't need Evan Engram, and they took him. So again, I just couldn't figure out why they did that. I love the trade back. I love the first round pick of the Bears. I wish Cincinnati would have found a way to win that. I wish Joe Burrow didn't throw 3 interceptions inside his own 20 in that game, and Cincinnati probably would have beat them. The Bears are a terrible football team. I don't know how the hell they won that game, but I love the draft capital. I don't understand the pick. If you're not going to play him right away, or he can't grasp a playbook, and you have to know this coming out of college, if these guys can grasp this quickly or not, the scouting department is bad, I guess. I don't know, because DeAndre Baker didn't know the playbook, right? He didn't know the playbook either. So how many of these guys are going to draft in the first round? Hey, he don't know the playbook.
Yeah.
Come on, man. What the hell's going on here? What the hell are we doing? This is why we've been so bad for so long. We draft players, they bust, or we draft players and they can't figure the playbook out. Come on, man. I'm done defending Galvin.
No, listen, man. I understand where you're coming. I understand where everybody's coming from when it comes to being disappointed with. The only thing I will say is he didn't play at all really much in the preseason, so I didn't expect a huge role coming out. I expected more of a role. I thought he'd be at least returning kicks.
He's played like 24 snaps.
And maybe be getting a couple more targets than what he did. I didn't expect a huge role the first 2 weeks. If he is not used more this week, I'll start to be a little bit more critical in terms of the usage for Kadarius Tony. I think they need to use him a lot more. I'm not going to say I don't expect him to start this week, but I need to see him be implemented a bit into the offense this week.
I'm not expecting him to start, but I expect him to be on the field more. Like I expect him to find a way to get him the ball.
Yeah,
that's all I mean. I'm not saying Kadarius Tony needs 10 targets a game, but he should get a couple touches. You got to get the ball into his hands. You drafted him for that reason, because he can do a lot of different things. So find a way. Find a way when you do put him in there to get him. When he's in there, find a way to get him the ball. By the way, for my 518 people, meerkats on television. So,
there you go.
The damn meerkat commercial always on.
V-Man says New York football needs to step it up this week. New York Jets, New York Giants need a W. Yeah, I mean, the Jets are the one thing I will say about the Jets is at least you guys are kind of, you're in a rebuild. The New York Giants are thinking this year we're going to start to turn the corner. The Jets are starting a rookie quarterback. You got future draft capital. So you're kind of in the beginning of your rebuild after you moved on from Sam Darnold. This is the year where, as Giants fans, we're expecting them to take a step up, man. DeGrom, man, thank you very much. Thoughts on the Mets being interested in Billy Beane? Yeah, I saw that, DeGrom. Listen, man, to be honest with you, I want the Mets to just start. I want them to blow everything up. They need to get rid of Rojas. They need a new general manager. Obviously, with the DWI, they got to get rid of him. Billy Beane, obviously a former Met. We drafted the guy. Maybe has some interest in coming back here. Really smart guy. I don't know how we would work in a big market. Obviously, there's a Giant show, but I would be open to it for sure. Matt Singh says, we will win this game. Keep the faith in the G-Men. I think we will win this game, Matt. I think it's a high-pressure game, but I do think we will win it. I will say that, Matt. I do think we will win it. I'm not giving up hope yet on the season, but we got to find a way to win this game.
We got this one.
And Tuto with the member chat, he says, NFL's one-way highway. You're either a winner or a loser. There's nothing in between the buns except sausage and homemade sauce.
That's right about that.
Tudo, my man. No, but you're right, man. It's a results-driven business. That's what it gathers down to, wins and losses. And V-Man says, hey, guys, how would you rank the rookie head coaches so far? All right, well, who's a rookie head coach? You obviously got your coach, Robert Saleh.
Urban Meyer, he struggled.
Yeah, you got Sirianni on the Eagles.
Sucks.
He's 1-1.
He played Atlanta.
He did play Atlanta. Who else do we got?
Nick Sirianni screwed that game up, by the way.
You got Coley. I actually like what I've seen out of Coley with the Texans. I mean, we know they suck going into the year, but he had them somewhat competitive last night. It seems like the players want to play for him. I don't get to watch these coaches on a week-by-week basis, but Coley looks like has some potential maybe with the Texans.
Well, I mean, they had Davis Mills in there. Mills
in it.
Yeah, I mean, they don't even have Deshaun Watson's not playing. Tyrod Taylor and company blew it up the first week, and they're shorthanded.
Oh, you got Dan Campbell as well, Arthur Smith. I mean, they're all 0-2 outside of Coley and Sirianni.
Yeah.
So far, none of them are doing very good.
Urban Meyer won't make it through the year either. He'll tuck tail and run.
You think so?
The dude's a clown. He won't make it through the year.
You might be right. That's kind of the reputation.
He won't. He sucks.
And G says, let's trade. I think you meant to say trade. Kadarius Tony for Odell Beckham Jr.
Never.
The money just doesn't add up. Beckham makes too much money. We're already strapped for cash with the salary cap.
Beckham's 29, coming off of major injuries constantly.
Tony's still a rookie, man. Let's give the guy a chance.
Yeah, I'm not looking to get Odell Beckham back here.
Not going to happen. Musab says, out of the 4 Super Bowl winning teams the Giants have had, rank those seasons in terms of enjoyment. Well, Baddog's going to be able to answer this better than me. I could talk about the last 2, and I will. The entire season, not just the Super Bowl. I didn't get to experience the 90 or the 86 Super Bowl. I'll talk about the 2 that I experienced. For me, I always say it, I think the 07 season was the better season because, one, I thought we had a better overall team. Plus, you had Strahan at the back end of his career. It was nice to see him get a championship. And it was the first one that I got to experience as a fan. And it was much more unpredictable, the run that they went on, beating the undefeated Patriots. The second one for me was always more so me happier for Eli. To me, that was Eli kind of cementing himself as an elite quarterback at that point in time, the way that he carried that team that year. And really when he won that Super Bowl, we're like, yeah, he's going to the Hall of Fame. But the first one to me out of the 2 that I've experienced is far and away the better of the 2.
1990 for me, that's my favorite Giants team of all time. They started off 10-0. They looked pretty unbeatable. They're, again, great defense. O.J. Anderson, punching you in the mouth. They had a couple good receivers and Stephen Baker and Mark Engram. They also had Dave Meggett. Sims got hurt. Hostetler was able to carry them. Beating the 49ers in that NFC Championship game is my favorite game of all time. More favorite than any of those Super Bowls. Because the Niners were looking at 3-peat. Nobody gave the Giants a chance. I freaking hated that damn 49er team with a passion. We went into Candlestick Park. We're able to knock them off, then upset the Buffalo Bills. Bill Belichick's game plan in the Hall of Fame because he played a dime pretty much the entire game with 7 defensive backs. And that was just a great year. Nobody really predicted the Giants. They predicted them to be good, but not go all the way. And to come back after Flipper Anderson's freaking heartbreaking touchdown against the Giants in 1989, that 1990 season will always be extremely special to me. 86 is also special because they dominated. I mean, they're the best team in football pretty much the entire season, and they really rolled in the postseason. And that defense with Lawrence Taylor winning MVP was amazing to watch. Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks, Harry Carson, Leonard Marshall, Jim Burt, all those guys just kicked some ass. It was great. But 1990 is definitely the most enjoyable one to me.
Yeah, and if I got to experience it, it'd probably be mine too. I feel like usually when it's like your first that you're like a diehard fan for, that's the one that sticks out the most. And maybe that's why the 07 rings truer to me than the 11. But both of them obviously incredible for me. But I'd have to go with the 07 over the 11. Christopher, man, thank you very much, man. To me, Tony should start over Slayton because he is the future and not Slayton. Listen, I'm not opposed to it, Chris. I'll tell you that right now. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Slayton's been in my doghouse really since before the season started. He had drop problems last year that nobody was talking about. He had the big drop in the preseason game where I was like, all right, this isn't going away. And now he's had 3 drops in the regular season, dropping the touchdown. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just don't think it's going to happen. Not this week. I still think Slayton will be in the starting lineup, but I think they need to start to integrate Tony more and more into this offense. And I do think before year's end, I expect him to have a bigger role. The interesting piece this week that's coming back into the New York Giants offense that we probably should talk about, Baddog, is a guy we were actually both surprisingly somewhat high on before the year started, or higher than the average Giant fan, being that he's the most hated man in the state of New Jersey. Evan Ingram's coming back into the lineup. And how big of an impact do you think he could have for this offense?
It's huge because I think Evan Ingram opens up a lot of other things. Without that, and I think that he's Daniel Jones's go-to guy. Now he has to catch the ball too, but he's a nightmare matchup. I mean, it gives us a big threat in the middle of the field. Kyle Rudolph and Caden Smith, they're possession guys. Like they're going to make their catches. They're good red zone targets. Everything else, and they're pretty decent blockers, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Caden Smith's a better blocker than Evan Ingram, but Evan Ingram gives you a big play possibility in the middle of the field. And I think that has to get more, safety's going to have to get more involved in covering Evan Ingram, which could lead to bigger plays to maybe Darius Slayton if he's able to catch the damn ball, or Kenny Golladay down the field. So I definitely think that that's big. Also on a thing like an RPO, I think it might have been the first pass, that play action pass down the seam, and I scream for that all the time. I would love to see more of that, but I think that Evan Ingram is a big part of what the Giants do. And again, much like Darius Slayton, he's got to complete the play, but I definitely think that's a big piece for Daniel Jones and the New York Giants getting back. Finally, the Giants have all their offensive players healthy outside the skill positions outside of the offensive line. So it'll be nice to have Slayton, Shepard, Galladay, Barkley, and Evan Engram.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everybody's saying it, of course, and I said he's the most hated man in the state of New Jersey, and rightfully so. The guy cost us several games last year at the tight end position. But I do think just him being on the field makes an impact because he opens, in my opinion, he could open up the underneath routes for this offense. If Tony's out there, if Barkley's out there, it's going to force the linebackers to drop back in coverage. They have to honor him a lot more in terms of being a mismatch than a guy like Caden Smith. So I do think it could add an extra element to this offense. Obviously, he has to hold on to the football. And I think the reason why we were higher on him than most people going into the year was because he's no longer going to be the number one option. He's not going to be the number two option. He's not going to be the number three option. He's going to be drawing lesser coverage, but he's got to hold on to the football. But I do think it could help this offense somewhat this week, him coming back at the lineup, but we'll see.
Yeah, I could open it up for other players. I mean, I think that's a big piece. I think that's a big reason because, like I said, I think that you can't cover Evan Engram with a linebacker. There's the reason that Daniel Jones throws it. He's always open because you can't guard the guy. It's just he is his own worst enemy. He's his own worst enemy. He's just, if Evan Engram catches the ball, and it's a big if, he's such a massive weapon. And that's why he's infuriating to Giants fans, because you know this guy's got talent and he just doesn't live up to it. Kind of like me with Daniel Jones. Why I'm so hard on Daniel Jones, because I know I see these games like he has against Washington. You're like, look at his skill set. This kid can play. And then there's days like, where is this guy? Like, what is he doing? So I think Evan Engram's the same way. Evan Engram could be a guy that has 9 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. You're like, holy shit, this guy's great. And then he has 2 drops the next day, and one was picked off, and then he fumbles, and you're like, what are you doing? Yeah. So, yeah, if you just flat out suck, I don't think people are going to be like, oh, my God, this guy pisses me off. You just know they're bad. But when you see a guy that's really good and he just can't catch the damn ball, that ticks you off more than anything, because any receiver should be able to do that. It's your job, so.
Yeah. Now, hopefully he's out there and hopefully hold on to the football. JD, man, what's going on, buddy? He says, it has been a blast to see Mark Holmes and his 20 vids per day and Philly 500 go at it.
I can't wait for week 5 for him. I got a video.
Before I get into that game, JD, I say it all the time. Mark Holmes should just change his channel to The Truman Show, because he makes 20 videos a day anyway. Just leave the camera on 24 hours, make it a reality TV show, 24-hour live stream. But JD, as far as the game, I will be streaming if the Giants win. If the Giants lose, I will be sitting on my couch sulking, watching the game in my pajamas. But if the Giants win on Monday night, I will be streaming the game between the Eagles and the Cowboys. But only if we win. I do not want to have to stream that game if we start up 0-3. So it depends on that. And cheers to Baddog called the Raiders. Good call is right. Good call.
Yeah, Raiders are pretty. The only reason I even know this is because my brother-in-law is a Raider fan, so I know quite a bit about the Raiders because of him. He's really into he's really into football. So just talking to him, I'm like, you know what, that team's not too bad. They just play in a tough division, but I'm like, that team's not bad, and they're the one team that's really given Kansas City problems the past couple of years. But with a healthy Derek Carr, and their offensive line's not as bad as people think. Josh Jacobs is hurt. They still found a way to win. I don't know. I just thought the Raiders, they're not going to the Super Bowl, but I thought they'd be better than people thought they'd be.
Yeah, I did not. And you hit that one so far. I think they're the surprise team of the NFL so far. And Benjamin, thank you for being a member, buddy. He says, not a fan of the Browns or the sports pervert. And his lover, hubby, Brandon Rogers. They play with each other's meatballs or cannolis. Who knows? Okay. All right there, Benjamin. Zahai, man, thank you very much. What's up, y'all? You think Rudolph is on his last legs? Dude looks stiff out there. Yeah, I mean, listen, first off, Rudolph's probably not fully recovered yet from the foot injury, if we're being honest. But yeah, I mean, we know he's not going to be a supreme route runner. He was brought in here to be a guy that hopefully could help in the red zone. He's not fleet of foot. He's a decent blocking tight end. And that's about it. I don't expect him to run routes like Evan Engram. I didn't expect him to do that when we brought him in. He's a guy that I hope can help in the red zone. And that's something that I think this offense needs to improve drastically on over the first 2 weeks. As good as the offenses look, Baddog, you think about it. The touchdown pass to Sterling Shepard was about, 35 yards. The touchdown pass to Slayton was 33 yards. When this offense has gotten in the red zone, they still have struggled. They have not been able to operate in the red zone. They have not. They scored one red zone touchdown in the first game, but that was garbage time when Jones ran it in with like a second left. They have not been able to throw the ball inside the 20-yard line. That continues to be a problem for this football team.
Yeah, I mean, Graham Gano ended up kicking 5 field goals, and we can't have that. I mean, that's the thing with the Giants is they're okay in between the 20s. They're able to move the ball a lot of times, but they don't finish. Tom Coughlin's whole thing in 2007 was finish. If the Giants knew how to finish games, they'd be a lot better team, which is why I speak to they have to learn how to win. They have to learn how to win. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I felt like they figured that out last year, and for some reason they reverted back to not figuring it out. They invented a way to lose. I mean, they had that game won, and they couldn't hang on to it. It's a shame that they lost the way they did, and you knew, once Dexter Lawrence jumped offside, he was not going to miss it again. And again, that's just the Giants will be Giants. It's just the way the Giants have gone here the last few years. They just need a signature win. They got to find a way to win that game and then move forward. And I just think, like I said, the Kadarius Tony thing and everything, all the stuff that we talk about, it's not there if you win. Nobody talks about it if you win. Winning cures everything. It doesn't matter. You can talk about the culture, you can talk about the players, you can talk whatever, but you win. That's how you build your culture. Not with players.
When you're winning, fans are looking. When you're losing, rather, fans are looking at any little thing to gravitate towards to complain about because you're trying to figure out what the problem is. You're trying to pin. Yep. So they're looking at any little thing. When you're winning, you overlook that. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Tony didn't play in preseason. That he should have a reduced role. That makes sense. But when you're losing, you're looking for things to be upset about. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And like you said, we got to start winning football games. You see guys fighting on the sidelines. That's only going to become worse and worse and more magnified if this team continues to lose football games. Yep. I don't care how good the culture is. The only good culture is a winning culture. Nobody wants to come to work every single Sunday losing football games.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, you got it. You win games, you'll be fine. Yeah. It's what it is. Yeah. When Odell Beckham was blowing up, nobody cared when we were winning. Nobody cared in 2016, but God, you lose and forget about it. It's just we got to win games, man.
And continuing source, man, thank you very much. I think if we lose this game, the Giants are officially the worst team in football. The Falcons are abysmal, probably even worse than Detroit and Jacksonville. I mean, I'll say this. If we lose, I don't know if we'd be the worst. We'd be right there. And right now we are right there. Let's be fair. We are what your record says. We're 0-2. I don't know how many teams are 0-2, but there's not many. We're one of them. So right now we are one of the worst teams until proven otherwise. We got to win this game. But yeah, if we lose this game, we're definitely one of the bottom, 3, 4, 5 teams in the league for sure. There's no denying it. Continuing for source, no doubt about it. This is a team, when you look at this matchup, and I'm going to read the rest of my phone here because it skipped. But when you look at this matchup, there's no excuses. There's none. It's Eli Manning Day. You should be a little bit extra motivated. But that aside, you had 3 extra days to prepare. You played on Thursday. This team played on Sunday. Mm-hmm. You're at home. The Falcons have the 30th ranked offense and the 32nd ranked defense going into the game. They're missing their number 1 cornerback. They're missing their number 2 wide receiver. For the most part, you're healthy outside of your offensive line, which is a problem. But there's no excuses not to win this football game. Period. End of story. And as I've said all week, I think it should be a convincing victory, if I'm being honest.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anything's convincing with the Giants. I think we're going to.
I'm not saying it will be. I'm saying it should be. I'm not saying it will be.
I don't care. I don't care what the hell. I don't care how the hell they do it. Just win, baby.
I'm with you on that. Just get a W. But
just freaking win. I don't care if it's 100-0 or if it's 1-0. Not that can happen. I don't care if they win 2-0 on a safety. I don't care if they scored 9 touchdowns. I just want to win a damn game. Just win a game, please. I don't. Like I said on Twitter, I don't ask much in this life. I don't ask much. I don't really ask anything from anybody. Can we just win, please? Can you get me a win? Can you get this fan base a win? This fan base needs wins. This fan base is craving wins. We need to win.
Listen, I'm with you. Mighty Mango says, hi, Chris. Go Big Blue. What's going on, Mighty Mango, man? Thanks for popping in. And John says, we need to see more Ross and Tony. Well, Ross is still hurt, John. He's still on the IR. And Les Slayton. I'd like to see Gary Brightwell get some touches as a backup. He might. Booker hasn't done much at all. They really haven't ran the ball because they haven't been able to establish any running lanes in these games. Outside of Daniel Jones, he's been the only effective runner for this football team. Maybe Brightwell will get a little bit of an opportunity, but yeah, Ross isn't going to play until he's healthy. He's still in the IR. Zahai, man, thank you very much. Digging the MetLife background. Yeah, I figured out how to do it. I see all the other streamers doing it. I'm like, I got to figure this out. So I figured it out before the stream. What's up, chat? Hit that like for these two crazy guys. Let's go, G-Men. Finish football. Yeah, if you guys haven't done so, please hit that thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell. More importantly, subscribe to Bad Dog Sports. I'm not sure if I put it in the description, but if I didn't, my mods could post a link in the chat below. We do this show every other week. We alternate channels. It's therapy for us. It's therapy for you right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, sooner than later, it's going to be celebration. But right
that would
now,
be great.
a lot of therapy as of late.
Yes.
Oh my God, Roldy just can't help himself. I've been ultra negative the last 2 weeks about the Giants, and I've basically said the season's over if we don't win today. Yet he still comes with this. Christopher, aka biggest fan on YouTube. What up, Bad Dog, my dude? One of the realest Giants YouTubers. How you feeling? Let's get out of the way, Roldy. Right now, the New York Giants are one of the 5 or 6 worst teams in football. If they don't win this game, the season's over. I will continue to post content, but in terms of making the playoffs, this season's over. Is that enough anti-fandom for you? Did I satisfy your quest to get me to bash the New York Giants? Right now, this coaching staff is an albatross, and the way things are headed right now, Roldy, they might blow the entire team up. If you're happy now, let me know. Larry J, man, thank you very much. We will beat the Falcons. I believe it. Order 66 on Matty Ice's candy ass. Woo! Eagles are rat bricks. Give Tony a chance. Okay, piss off. Bye. All right. All right, Larry. Be good, my man. Thank you so much for popping in the stream, buddy. And let's see. I think I'm caught up and I can pull it up here. Matt Singh says Sam Darnold is flourishing. Okay.
You watch him play last night. He fumbled, 3 times? Didn't lose
2
one
times,
of them?
but yeah, 2 times.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. He's still not good. Sorry. No, I'm not buying into that hype. No way. I watched that guy play against a terrible defense last night. So how many times is this guy going to drop the ball, miss throws? You know, they've played a very weak schedule. Carolina has. So let them play
the Jets, and they beat the Texans last
right.
night.
Let's wait till let's wait till he plays Tampa Bay, or somebody.
They beat the. I mean, he's still 3-0. You got to tip your cap there, and he won 3 games with the Jets. He only won 2 games last year with the Jets.
Well, Carolina's better than the Jets. So
it just goes to show you, though, Bad Dog, it's a team game. For everybody that always pins the win-loss record on the quarterback, put a quarterback in a better situation. He's going to win more games.
Oh, it's definitely. That's why I always have when people are like, "Oh, Eli only has a 500 record." Yeah, okay, because it was all Eli. Sure, Eli played defense. Eli blocked. Yeah, right.
You put Daniel Jones on that team, he's going to win games.
But I say switch back in Daniel Jones. Let's see what happens if we switch those 2 players.
Yeah. And Adam, thank you very much. He says, you guys already know we'll do just enough to end in a we have to win our last 2 out of 3 games to get in the playoff situation and then blow it. Adam, the start we're off to, if I'm being honest with you, I'd sign up for that right now. We're 0-2.
I just want to win. I just want to win Sunday.
you look ahead at our next 4 games after this game. They're all very challenging. You're looking at the Rams. You're looking at the Cowboys on the road. You're looking at the Saints on the road. And you're looking at the Panthers, who are 3-0 right now. And the Raiders, we play after the Bucks. So, and they're 3-0 or 2-0 right now. So I would sign up for a chance at the playoffs for 2 or 3 weeks to go as of now. Maybe they'll start to play much better. Maybe I'll feel differently, but I think most Giant fans would sign up for that right now.
Yeah, I'm just worried about Sunday. I hope we are in a situation, Adam, that we still are in the playoff picture with 3 games to go. I really do. I mean, we were 6-10 last year, and it sucked that we didn't make it. But the fact that we were even in it made the season exciting. So if we're in there in December, if we're playing meaningful football in December, like Chris said, I'll sign up for that right now.
Yeah. And Giants fans, his opinion on Rule and the Panthers rebuild. I'm going to say the same thing Bad Dog said. Just like I think fans are getting a little carried away, and I'm not trying to discount Rule. They're off to a 3-0 start. Great start. They've beaten the worst teams in the league. I mean, they beat the Houston Texans, who nobody thought was going to win more than
without Tyrod Taylor, mind you, with their quarterback.
Yeah, with Tyrod Taylor, they beat.
No, Tyrod Taylor didn't play.
That's right. Tyrod Taylor
played the third-string quarterback.
They beat the Jaguars. I'm sorry. They beat the Jets. They beat the Jets. They beat the Texans, and they beat the Saints. I mean, let's see them beat a couple of good teams before we fully buy into this Matt Rule thing. Everybody's going crazy about it. If they have a winning record, I'm sure that's going to be a talking point for a lot of Giants fans. But to be honest with you, Bad Dog, I didn't blame the Giants not for signing the guy when he wanted 7 years. And I don't think any Giants fan blamed him at the time. The guy had never coached in the NFL before. 7 years for an unproven coach is unheard of.
Yeah.
Obviously, hindsight 2020 fans are going to say that if the Panthers win 13 games this year, but I don't blame them for not giving him
All you got to do is
contract.
look at Dan Quinn in Atlanta. Like Dan Quinn got in there, and Atlanta was winning a bunch of games that they had no business winning. I remember that at the beginning, and then the honeymoon phase was over, and then they were done. It was done. So again, I'm not saying Carolina can't be good. It's not like we watch Carolina football up here very often. And let's face it, the Thursday night game was absolutely garbage. It was terrible.
Horrible.
But that was the only time that I really got. Now their defense is pretty good. Sam Darnold does like I don't know how long Christian McCaffrey's out. If McCaffrey's out for any extended period of time, that's really going to hurt them because that's where Sam Darnold throws it every time. Him and Moore. That's it. DJ Moore and McCaffrey. If McCaffrey's out, it's going to be that's a big blow because that guy good. That guy can play.
Yeah, that changed their entire offense. Abe, man, thank you so much for being a member, man. He says, do you think Gettleman is gone no matter how we finish this year unless we make a miracle run? And is Judge safe no matter what? All right, I'll answer that first, and I'll let Baddog answer it. The only way I think Gettleman keeps his job is if we have a winning record. So maybe 8-9. Like maybe if Daniel Jones is really good this year and the defense struggles a little bit and we win 8 games, maybe it's a debate. 9 games, I think he definitely probably keeps his job with a winning record if he's going to stay on. He's obviously up there in age. Anything less than that, I can't see a scenario where Gettleman stays on. If Daniel Jones is really good, I could see 8 wins. Maybe he keeps his job. But outside of that, I don't see a scenario. And in terms of is Judge safe no matter what, I'm going to say no. But I think it would have to take a catastrophic season for him to lose his job. Well, I'm talking like 3 or 4 wins. If they win 6 games, I think Judge gets another year. I'm not going to completely rule it out because if you bring in a GM from the outside, he may want his guy. My guess would be, even though Giants fans may not want to hear this, and it may only be for 1 year because they want to feel like they want to give Judge another year and they want to buy into him. I think in that scenario, if they win 6 or 7 games, they move on from Gettleman. They probably hire from within house. They give Judge another year to prove himself. And if Judge doesn't work out then I think they'd move on from Judge and probably bring in a new GM as well.
I think that if you move on from Gettleman, you should move on from Judge. I don't like this. I don't like this rotating chairs of fire the coach, keep the GM, fire the coach. If you're going to fire one of these, you blow it all up. They go hand in hand, especially since Judge is having a lot of influence on these draft picks. Okay, so if Gettleman is out, I know you can't. I don't want to be the Jets. I don't want to be firing a head coach every 2 years. But if you're getting rid of your GM, you got to get rid of your head coach. You have to. I'm sorry. That has to happen. You got to get rid of the coordinators. You got to start all, which sucks. But that's what happens when you don't draft well. That's what happens when you're a losing team. You have to find the right grouping, I guess. And I mean, hopefully we're not talking about this in December. Hopefully we're talking about, you know what? We were wrong about Gettleman. Gettleman did a damn good job. But I agree with Chris. If this team is a 6 or 7 win team, he ain't keeping his job. I can't imagine he would. Like Chris said, if Jones plays the way he did against Washington most of the season and he looks really good, Kadarius Tony gets involved and he looks pretty good and they win 8 games, maybe you do because it's an improvement. But anything less than 8, I can't see him staying around. And like I said, I don't think Judge is safe either. I don't, because I do think if you hire a new GM, like Chris said, he might just say, nope, I don't want these guys. And I think that Mara has to let the GM, if Gettleman's gone, Mara has to let the GM do what the GM wants to do. Like Mara he's got to stay out of the decision making. Just be the damn owner. When the owners get involved in decision making, it screws everything up. It happened with Al Davis at the end of his career. It's happened with Jerry Jones for years. Just sign the checks and let the football guys do the football things.
Yeah. Listen, man, I wouldn't be against that at all, if I'm being honest with you. I don't like being in the business of firing coach after coach after coach after coach. But if this season is a complete disaster and you want to rip it up, I'm not going to cry about it. At this point, the Giants need to do drastic things, and they need to stay. If it's a complete disaster, I do think that might be what's in order, and I hope that's not the case. I hope Jones has a really good year. I hope they win at least 8 games and they could try to push forward and continue to grow this thing. But
yeah, none of us want to see anybody fired. Yeah. We want to win, man. We and again, you know what's funny, Chris? If Dexter Lawrence doesn't jump off sides, we ain't even talking about this. We're not even talking about this.
I know.
It's amazing how, like you said, it's a game of inches, and it's amazing how fickle. This just shows you how much each game in the NFL, how much magnified it is because they play so few games. Baseball, I don't like Aaron Boone, right? I mean, this is obvious. But if you lose a tough game April 17th, nobody's going, oh God, fire them all. But in football, it's equivalent to 10 baseball games. That's like losing 10 straight in baseball. So it's huge. It's huge. And again, it's amazing how this much our attitude's totally different.
It's true. And what I will say, no matter what happens in the Falcons game, I don't think anybody's attitude changes. Outside of, we'll be excited if Jones has a really good game. He's starting to show consistency, and
he should.
I don't think that the general mindset of the team will change. If we win the Saints game after that, then it all changes again. Then everybody's pumped up for the year. We're 2-2. Let's see if we could go into Dallas and get a win. But we need to start winning some football games. Otherwise, for obvious reasons and legitimate reasons, the fan base is going to be thinking about the future of this football team.
I'll tell you what, if we can beat Atlanta, which we should, and then we just find a way to beat the Saints, and then you do beat Dallas, then you're going to see the fan base. Then you're going to see the fan base get really excited. But the thing with at least with me, I mean, I can't speak for all the Giants fans. A win's going to be nice, but I'm not going to go crazy because I just know again, I think it's like the offense. I think it's like the Giants in general. As fans, we're waiting for something bad to happen. It's like we can't be happy. They won't let us be happy. We think we have a game won, and you turn around and you see a flag in the field, and it's against us, of course.
Yeah,
and we lose. So even when you have the game won, you still can't be happy because somehow we ended up losing it. So, I think that if the Giants if they're 3-2, then I think maybe I'd be like, okay, I see you guys, and then we can start to roll. But one game at a time. We got to beat Atlanta. If we beat Atlanta, I'm not going to get all excited. It'll be nice to get that first one out of the way, but I'm not going to sit here and start pumping my chest and talking about how great we are. This is a team that we should beat, and we better. Can't lose on Eli Manning Day. No way.
Yeah, no, this is a game we absolutely have to win. Oliver, man, thank you very much. Kurt Warner did a breakdown. I watched it, actually, of the G-Men Washington game. Shows you how DJ did not recognize defense and making bad throws. Jason Garrett's bad schemes. Little G-Men, someone has to go. I watched the breakdown, and yeah, there were definitely some things that he pointed out. He did a really good job in that breakdown. I did watch it. I still think Jones had a very good game, but yeah, there were a couple of throws that he missed on, and
every quarterback misses throws. I'm not going to kill the guy for missing a couple throws. Yeah, Tom Brady misses throws. Kyler Murray threw 3 interceptions last week. Did anybody worry about Kyler Murray's 3 interceptions when he threw for 400 yards and having 4 total touchdowns? No.
If we're going to get to the point where we knock every missed throw that Daniel Jones made,
that's really overcritical.
Then you're not giving him a real chance.
Yeah,
because every quarterback is going to make missed throws. But
every one of them misses throws. Everybody misses.
It was a really good film breakdown. I did watch it.
Yeah.
And Chef, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, we're going to lose to the Falcons. Bet the under. They're going to QB spy Danny Dimes all day, and Kadarius ain't getting any touches because Joe Judge is a diva. I hope you're wrong, man. I listen, I understand where all Giants fans are coming from that are super negative right now. I said it during our stream last week, Bad Dog. If teams start to look for the Daniel Jones run, that should open up a big play for Saquon Barkley.
That's that. And it should open up a lot for Evan Engram. If you have a linebacker or a safety spying Daniel Jones, that leaves Evan Engram wide open in the middle of the field. So there's another key. And that's what you want, Chef. You want them to start spying Daniel Jones. You want them to overcommit to Daniel Jones because, like Chris said, that opens up Saquon Barkley the other way. That opens up play-action passing down the seam. That opens up a lot for the offense. Now, Daniel Jones has to make the throws, but he's going to have more man-on-man coverage if they're worried about him running. It messes with the defense, which is why I think that it's important to get him involved running. Because when he was able to run against Washington, you saw Darius Slayton wide open in the middle field. You saw Sterling Shepard wide open on the sideline. You saw guys open in that game. They had a lot more separation than they normally have because it makes the defense think, is he running? Where's he going? And then if they react late, Daniel Jones is gone for 15 yards. So they have to. I like what they did. Again, I'm not asking Daniel Jones to be Michael Vick. I know people call him Vanilla Vick. I'm not asking him to be Kyler Murray. He don't need to run 12 times a game, but you break out that RPO or that naked bootleg, that rollout 4 or 5 times a game to keep the defense honest. It's going to help out the offense a lot. So I hope that they do. bring a guy to spy Daniel Jones, because I think it creates a massive mismatch with Evan Engram in the middle of the field.
That's my mindset, Chef. I want them to spy on Daniel Jones. I want them to commit to Daniel Jones, because if you do that, not just Engram, but Barkley as well. And when Barkley gets back to the old Barkley, if you're doing that with Daniel Jones on those RPOs, Saquon Barkley's going to take a lot of runs to the house.
I had a guy tell me a comment on one of my videos. He said RPO is not a quarterback run. I said,
the read option.
Whatever. No, RPO is run pass option.
Run pass option.
Which means it's a running play if he chooses to run. So, yes. It's a running play if he wants to run.
And Tudo, man, thank you very much. Engram is a rare species who runs like a cheetah, hops like a monkey, and tries to catch the ball with alligator.
Yeah, the T-Rex.
Good call there, Tudo. Tudo's the man. Always
Tudo is the man.
A good laugh. Orphanage, man, thank you very much. Just want to make sure I didn't miss a member, because, like I said, they don't pop up on here. I know I had one. No, they haven't gotten there yet. Orphanage says, I agree, Bad Dog. Sam literally dunks to CMC every time. Yeah,
it's not a bad way to play. I tell you that much. I would want to dump the ball off to CMC every time too. But like I said, now with him hurt, I don't know how long he's out. But if he misses an extended period of time, we'll see how good Sam Darnold really is.
They were saying that during the telecast too, that Christian McCaffrey, and that's obvious, like you said, has helped him out tremendously.
Yep.
Mike, Matt, thank you very much. I hear Odell is back this week. Yes, I think that was confirmed today. He's going to be playing for the Browns. Guess he can't make Eli's number retirement ceremony now. No, he probably wouldn't have made it anyway, but now he's definitely not going to make it.
Yeah, well, he should have, because Eli Manning made Odell Beckham.
But he definitely didn't hurt him. Let's put it that way.
No, I haven't heard much about Beckham since he went to Baker Mayfield. And I love Baker, but I haven't heard anything about Odell Beckham in Cleveland.
It's true. Let's call it how it is, man. It's true.
It is.
But yeah, I think
they were good for each other.
Oh, for sure. Obviously, he helped Eli. Nobody's trying to insinuate that.
Yes, he did.
But Eli certainly didn't hurt Beckham. And Max, man, thank you so much for being a member, man. If we finish 6-11 or worse, 1, would you keep Judge? 2, do you think he's still the head coach next season? Max, it's very hard for me to say that, because I would. Here's what I'll say. Even though I've been a guy that talks about stability, if they fire Gettleman and they elect to completely blow it up, I won't say that. I can't argue against it with how bad this team has been if they want to start from a fresh, clean slate. That's what I'll say. That's what I'm at right now as a New York Giant fan. Do I want him to get fired? No. I don't want to see 3 coaches get fired within 2 years, because, honestly, I don't think that's going to be a very desirable location for a coach to come here. If you're telling them that, if they look at what they've done to these last 2 coaches, they don't give them much of a chance. So, I don't want that to happen, but I won't be able to argue against it if we win 5-6 games. I mean, something needs to change. And if they feel like by keeping on Judge, it could hurt their opportunity to bring in an outside GM, I couldn't argue against it.
Right.
And Sox, man, he says, if we rebuild everything, let's go, G-Man. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna get wet, you gotta go all the way. Yeah, you gotta go all the way. I agree.
Gotta jump into the deep end, man. Sucks. Yeah, you got to learn to swim. Sometimes you just got to jump in, man.
Listen, man. We've been through this before, and I'm gonna. We might be talking about what we think should happen. I'm gonna tell you what I think is gonna happen. I think, yes, if the team wins 4 or 5 games, I think you blow it up. You do a rebuild. That's what I think you should do. But Bad Dog, let's be honest. Could you see? And we know how New York Giant, not just Giant fans, New York fans are. Could you see, after the New York Giants have been selling this fan base for 3 years now? We're rebuilding. This year, you go out there and spend and try to give this fan base hope. If this team falls apart this year and wins 5 or 6 games, just from John Mara's perspective, do you see John Mara saying, I want to blow this whole thing up and tell the fans they got to wait another 3 years before we're a competitive football team again? Because that's what you're doing. If you're blowing the whole thing up, you're not going to be good in 2022. You're more than likely not going to be good in 2023. And you're probably looking at 2024 as the best case scenario to have a good football team. That's what happens when you rebuild, when you blow it up. Can you see John Mara trying to sell the fan base on that?
Well, I mean, blowing it up means you'd be blowing the team up. Maybe the Giants don't blow the team up. Maybe John Mara says, we have the talent out there, and the coach and the GM are, well, if you have the talent out there, it's not the GM's fault. Obviously, the GM brings the talent here. But maybe he's saying, you know what? This didn't work. And I don't know, because Gettleman would have been, Gettleman's been here for 4 years. So it's not like he was here for 2 years. But maybe you're saying, okay, again, you just to me, if you're bringing in a new GM, you got to let the GM pick. Now, if the new GM says, I want to keep Judge, then you keep him. But
Right.
I don't know, man. Like I said, it sucks that we're freaking in the middle of September and we're talking about this shit already. Like, I didn't want to talk about this. I wanted to talk about, hey, look at the job Gettleman did. Hey, look at Joe Judge. Joe Judge is the man. Like, I don't want to be overcritical of Judge. I've had to kill Joe Judge the last 2 weeks. I've had to kill his ass. What's that?
I want to be celebrating that we're 2-0.
Yeah. I've had to kill Joe Judge the last 2 weeks. You know? Yeah. Sound clip. You run laps, Joe. One of the greatest things I've ever said. But I mean, we're all sick of losing. We're all frustrated. We've all, especially me, because, guys my age, because we didn't have to live through the crappy 70s. Now, there's guys that are older than me said, man, like, the 70s are bad. I've been through this. And then you got the younger guys who've never seen success from the New York Giants. And you got you guys your age that have seen two, but guys like me that came in when they were great. It's really rough for us because we don't know this struggle for 10 years.
I don't know this either. I mean, from a Giants perspective, I'm 35. I don't know this. I'm from a Mets perspective, I know, but not from a Knicks perspective, but not from a Giants perspective.
I just saw our owner pizza. We lived in the 90s. Yeah, but the 90s, Super Bowl 1990, playoffs in 93, right? They were 9-7 in 94, playoffs in 97.
Super Bowl.
So they were in the playoffs, three times in the 90s, and they had a winning record in 1994. And then they were in the Super Bowl in 2000. So
not nearly as bad as this.
Right. Not like this.
Yeah.
They had a couple bad years. They had a couple lean years in the 90s. But their defense was really good. They just didn't have a quarterback until they got Kerry Collins. But it wasn't like this. It was not like any point where, hey, for 4 straight years, they've been under 500, but never reaching above 500.
Yeah, I mean, we picked 2nd, 4th, and 6th the last 3 years.
Yeah, it hasn't been good.
I mean, come on. Skywalker says our D isn't bad. It's literally the goddamn soft zone.
It's a defense they played last year, and offenses have made an adjustment to it. Now it's time for Patrick Graham to adjust back.
And I'm going to tell you what, Bad Dog, and I'm guilty of it just like a lot of Giants fans. It's very possible we overrated this defense going into the year. I mean, let's be fair. And I hope that's not the case. I hope this defense turns it around. But you look at the quarterbacks we went up against, Bad Dog: Ben Roethlisberger, Mitch Trubisky, Nick Mullins, Jared Goff, Andy Dalton 2 times, Kyle Allen, Carson Wentz twice, Brandon Allen. And then we played Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, and Baker Mayfield. I mean, we beat up on a lot of backup quarterbacks last year. Now, let's be fair. I mean,
we weren't able to beat up on them this year.
That's true.
We played 2 backup quarterbacks this year, and they couldn't.
We have not been able to beat up on them this year. But I do think it's possible, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope the defense is a top 10 defense. But I do think it's possible we overestimated this defense going into the year.
I definitely did.
I hope that Patrick Graham makes some adjustments and this defense improves. I don't think it could get much worse. I mean, they've given up 575 passing yards to Teddy Bridgewater and the guy that was flipping pizzas last year. Tyler Heineke. They've given up 600 yards basically to those 2 quarterbacks. They gave up a 2-play 75-yard drive.
That was ridiculous. That can't happen.
So I mean, I hope that I'm wrong, but I think we might have overestimated the defense going into the year. AP, man, thank you very much. If he is to be fired, Gettleman would retire. I agree with that. He'd probably retire, much like Coughlin kind of did. He kind of stepped down. He wasn't technically fired, but forced into retirement.
Yeah.
Sacred Dust Man, what's going on, buddy? He says, "What's with the soft zone scheme, guys? It's giving up yards and points, not stopping a damn thing." Wish I understood what Patrick Graham is thinking. I'll give my theory, and again, I'm not Patrick Graham. I don't know this. I think the first week the Giants blitzed a ton. They blitzed way too much. They blitzed almost half the time, 44%. Second game they blitzed 8%, and I think Graham saw that didn't work, and he made no adjustments from within that game. And then he took a complete reverse strategy in the second game. They played off the ball. They played way too soft. They weren't aggressive enough, and that was a major mistake. I think they have to find kind of their happy medium, but Patrick Graham has not come out with good game plans. You're always going to play soft zone. It's just that he's playing it way too much, and they're getting beat in coverage. They're not getting pressure on the quarterback. In the first game, they did get some pressure on the quarterback because they blitzed as much as they did, but Bridgewater was just making some plays. But yeah, if you don't get pressure on the quarterback, you're not going to stop many offenses in the NFL.
There's a time to play soft zone, and there's not. And you certainly shouldn't have 2 down linemen on the 2-yard line. That was just stupid. I don't know what the hell that personnel.
And the 12 men on the field with 25 seconds to go, where Judge had to call timeout.
Right, you can't do stuff like that. I don't know what Graham is doing. I don't understand. I've never understood soft zone on 3rd and short. 3rd and 17, I get it. 3rd and 12, 3rd and goal from the 9. Like, I understand that because you want them to catch the ball. You just want to make the tackle. Don't let them get the yardage necessary to get a first down. You don't want to get burned for a big play on man coverage. I get soft zone. I don't get soft zone on 3rd and 3. I don't understand that. And another play we're not talking about in the game with Washington was when they came out of the damn timeout and they almost had to delay a game. Now, Andrew Thomas got called for a false start, but that's BS because the clock was going to run out. How in the hell do you come out of a timeout and never delay a game? And it's weird because this wasn't just Joe Judge and freaking Daniel Jones. We saw this with Eli Manning and Pat Shurmur. Like, how does that happen? How do you come out of a timeout and don't get the playoff? And then we had to take a time, and then we backed up 5 yards, and it screwed up the whole drive. So, put us in a bad spot. The Giants, again, this is why I'm so hard on Joe Judge right now, because this guy preaches discipline on a consistent basis, and they're not disciplined. It's like Tom Coughlin when he first got here. Discipline, like I said in my video, he's like a tyrant coming in here. Michael Strahan called him a tyrant. The guy, and I was there. I saw it. He was relentless, and they're extremely undisciplined. Extremely. Listen, that hard-nosed crap only works when you're winning. And it doesn't always necessarily necessarily translate into the game. I don't know what to do. I'm not a head coach, but it's not working. Whatever the hell he's doing ain't working. These guys got to get more discipline. You can't have these ridiculous mistakes like that.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. You're over-aggressive, okay. I get it. That's part of football. My God, jumping off sides and a field goal at the end of the game and delay a game coming out of a timeout? Come on.
This team is not good enough to beat themselves.
No.
Period. There are some teams that could overcome self-inflicted mistakes. The Giants are not one of them.
Definitely.
Last year, the Giants only committed 81 penalties all year. They've already committed 15 this year.
Yep.
So they're committing 7.5 penalties on average compared to 5 last year. That's a big difference. And a lot of them are like, they've already had, I think, 2 unnecessary roughness penalties. They only had like 3 all of last year. So they've been dumb penalties, and they're beating themselves. And for a coach like Joe Judge that talks about, like you said, it doesn't look good. A guy that talks about discipline and having your team prepared. Well, those are the things that you don't expect a team where they have a coach like that to do. And it's only been 2 games. Hopefully they could turn it around, but it's not a good start in that area for the Giants.
Yes, I see a bunch of guys in the chat. Yes, I have the Yankee game up. 8-3 Yanks. All right. Hopefully Toronto loses. They're losing 3-0. So we got to hope Toronto loses to Minnesota.
Joey, thank you very much. Must-win game on Sunday. Hopefully all our hearts are recovered from last Thursday's night. Can't wait to get this first win. We need to feel a win. Joey, here's what I'll say, man. I'm not going to get, like Baddog said, I'm not going to get head over heels, like, in love with getting a win against the Atlanta Falcons. It's just going to be like kind of a sigh of relief. But like anytime the Giants win, I will celebrate. This team's not good enough not to celebrate every win that you could get.
Oh, you're going to be
definitely
happy,
excited. I'll definitely take a victory shot. And it'll give me at least a little relief that the next 3 games will mean something. I'll be able to tell myself if we could win 1 out of the next 3, get to 2-4, maybe we can make something out of this season with the tough schedule we got coming up. But we got to win this game. Everybody knows it. Everybody in this chat knows it. If the Giants lose this game, you need a miracle sent from the heavens for us to have a chance of making the playoffs. You got to win this game.
Can't lose this game, man. This is probably the easiest game on our schedule. I mean, we can't.
Yeah.
Can't lose. Can't lose to Atlanta at home. Atlanta's not good. And like I said, A.J. Terrell's out. He's their best corner. Gage is out. They can't. There's no Julio Jones. They can't run the ball. Their offensive line's terrible. You got to get pressure on Matt Ryan, man. You should win. You should be able to beat them. And Daniel Jones should have a big game in this one. The Giants offense should be able to go. They found something against Washington. Washington's defense is pretty good. Atlanta's defense is not. And I think that Daniel Jones should be able to run against him. Jalen Hurts was able to run against him. I don't see why Daniel Jones can't do it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Mike says we beat Atlanta, enjoy the win enough. I think we're gonna win, Mike. I'm not gonna guarantee. How could you with the way this team is playing right now?
You celebrate every win.
I'm not gonna guarantee.
You can't help the teams you play in their schedule. You got to beat them. I mean, this is a team we should beat.
Yeah, I think we will win, Mike. Though I agree with you, but you're not gonna see me making any guarantees. Roldy says you guys missing the point. Warner didn't say about missed throws. He was basically saying Jones isn't going through his progressions. He missed open opportunities. That's what he was saying, not missing throws.
He doesn't go through his progressions.
Yeah, sure. I'm still not gonna go crazy when he had a good performance though. He made a lot of good
I'm not gonna kill him for he had a good yes, his receivers down too much. I agree. That's why when people are like, oh, there's no separation. I'm like, you don't know this. If Daniel Jones is staring down the guy the whole time, you don't think that the secondary reads that and jumps the route? Of course they do. So yeah, listen, nobody's arguing that. Daniel Jones needs to do a better job of going through progressions. But
yeah, I actually
he had a great game. I'm not gonna kill him.
And the other thing I'll say, Baddog, because somebody showed me a clip of my Discord actually today, and I noticed it. It was a throw where he hit Caden Smith for about 25 yards, and I said, look at Shepard in the slot. Shepard was open for a touchdown. But you don't know. Maybe Caden Smith was his first read. He saw the route. It's easy to say after the fact when you watch the old 22, oh, he had this guy open. He had that guy open. If a guy is, and I don't know if he was or wasn't, but if a guy's your first read on a throw and you like the route and you think he's going to be open, you're not going to look on that side of the field. You're looking at Caden Smith. He's open. That's the guy you're going to throw it to. So sometimes it's easy to be criticized and be like, yeah, you should have thrown to this guy. But in football, you only have 3 or 4 seconds to react.
And if you're Daniel Jones, you have less.
Open, you're going to your first read.
And some guys have less than that. So
he
has to do a better job of that. It's one of his biggest criticisms. One of his biggest weaknesses is he does as I forgot the guy said, I don't know, it was Matt Millen or whatever. He said red stripe, meaning that you just watch the stripe of his hat because he will stare the guy down. But he's got to do a better job of that. But I'm not going to kill him. He had a great game. He should have had a better game.
They
called the touchdown back. It shouldn't have ever been called back. And Slade dropped. I love him. I mean, when you really hate Daniel Jones, he overthrew that. If you really got to hate Daniel Jones to say he overthrew that pass, you really got to hate it. It hit Slayton here. Okay. Yeah. It's not like it hit him here. It's not like he dove and it hit him there. Slayton even said he should have laid out for that, and he should have. He should have laid out for the damn ball.
Yeah.
So if Daniel Jones overthrew him, it was by this much. Come on, man.
Yeah. And MD, man, what's going on, buddy? Thank you for being a member. He says, we all thought this was a playoff team this season. If they could only win 5 or 6 games, heads should roll pending injuries. I agree. Pending injuries. I think that's a fair thing to put in there because, what if Daniel Jones goes down or something like that? Knock on wood. But, no, I agree with you, man. Heads should roll if they win 5 or 6 games. I thought they were a 9-win team going into the year. They win 5 games. That's a problem.
Big problem.
Not going to get an argument from me there. Duncan, man, thank you very much. If we blow it up, Barkley will probably get traded 100%. If we bring in an outside GM, Barkley's not going to be here long term.
I don't know if we'll be traded. And then everybody can come back and tell me I was right. I still haven't gotten out. You were right about trading Odell Beckham in 2017 when I made that video. I get killed for that. I get killed for Barkley. You're not a fan. How can you say Saquon Barkley, man, dog? You're not a fan.
Yeah, he might finish out the contract. He might play the 5th-year option and then whatever. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller, but I very much doubt an outside GM is going to come into a team that's won, say, 20 games in their last 4 years and want to pay a running back big money that he didn't draft.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
why I made the whole video. These contracts come up quick.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones' contract's coming up quick. That next year is it. That's the end of it. Now they can pick up a 5th-year option if they choose, but that's the end of his contract. If they don't like what they see, that could be the end of him.
Hopefully not.
You don't know.
Hopefully they turn it around. Tudo says all New York Giants issues starts with loser number 1, Mara, who hired loser number 2, Big Fat Getty, who hired big loser number 3, Joe Judge, who's on a sinking ship. Listen, Tudo, it always starts at the top. We say that every week, but that's just facts. I mean, it starts with Mara. The reason we're in the mess we're in, the main reason is John Mara. And any Giant fan who doesn't know that, well, that's the answer. John Mara is far and away the biggest reason, and we can go back over the timeline. We do it all the time, but John Mara is by far the biggest reason the New York Giants are in the mess that they're in.
Yep.
Unfortunately, as fans, we can't demand that he be fired because he owns the team. So we need him to make some changes for this team to get back to where we want them to be. But you're not going to get an argument from me there. John Mara is definitely the biggest problem with this football team.
I mean, it happened with the Raiders with Al Davis at the end of his career. I mean, Al Davis at the beginning was extremely sharp, great football mind, but sometimes the game passes you by as you get older. The game changes. Al Davis didn't, which is why the Raiders continue to struggle. You look at Jerry Jones in Dallas. Now, he's relinquished some of that power, but Dallas has been terrible ever since Jimmy Johnson left, and that's because of Jerry Jones. And they haven't been terrible. They've been up and down. They haven't been great. They haven't won anything. They haven't made an NFC championship game since 1995.
They've been mediocre. They've been in the middle.
Right, and that's because of Jerry Jones. So And I'll tell you, Cowboy fans don't like him. Ask Cowboy fans. You like Jerry Jones? Say no. He needs to stay the hell out of it. So that's what. Look at the Knicks. Look at the Mets. The Wilpons were terrible. James Dolan's terrible. This is why they've been bad for so many years. You kill Chris. You can't fire the owner. And if the owner's there and he continues to make bad decisions, you're going to continue to suck. It's unfortunate. I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
And Joey Cook, thank you very much. I'm from Atlanta, and people here think we are an easy win. They should. We're 0-2. I mean, to be honest with you, Joey, neither one of us should think any team's an easy win.
That's what I say. No cakewalks for our Giants.
We're both bad right now, so I think we should win, but that doesn't mean that I should go into this game thinking it's a sure thing.
No sure thing with the
Giants find ways to lose football games.
Yep.
But I don't blame Atlanta fans for feeling that we're a weak opponent. I mean, we always have Giant sunglasses on because we're Giants fans. But what do you think teams say when they have us on their schedule? Oh, we got the Giants this week. We got a shot.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, let's be fair. But he says, hoping we prove them wrong, but I don't trust the defense at all. Bradbury's struggling as well. Yeah, I mean, I think part of that falls on Bradbury, and I think part of it falls on Patrick Graham. I think the scheme has been bad as well. Last week specifically was really bad in terms of coverage with the, playing off the ball throughout the entire game, the zone coverage. But I think Bradbury should turn it around. I think this defense should get better. I don't know if it'll happen this week. Hopefully it'll be the case. We got 10. The one thing I will say, trying to think optimistically about the defense, they were a mess week 1, and they only had 3 days off in between, maybe with the 10-day layover, maybe with Graham being able to study more film, get acclimated to all the new pieces on this defense. Maybe he comes with a much better game plan this week against Atlanta.
Yeah, no excuses. This was a long week. This was a long layoff. This was a long time to get ready for Atlanta.
But by no means
am I saying for guys to get healthy.
Yeah. By no means am I saying that's going to happen based off the way the defense has looked. But that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping.
Me too. It's all you can hope for.
And Jay Modemat, thank you very much. It's time to get young Joka, of course, talking about Kadarius Tony, and Galladay involved this week. DJ is force-feeding Shepard because he trusts him. He needs to go through his reads. Go Big Blue. Yeah,
I think Shepard's been wide open.
Shepard's made some really good contested catches, but I think the addition of Galladay has helped out Shepard.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, which is why we picked Shepard to have a big year.
Yeah, I think that's opened up Shepard from getting more opportunities. But I think the Giants, and I said it during the last game and they finally did it, that one play. They need to have more plays like that. You need to give Galladay the opportunity to create 40, 50-yard plays, go up and try to catch the football. Mm-hmm. Give him an opportunity because, one, he's 6'4". More than likely, if you put it anywhere near him, it's not going to more than likely be intercepted. If anything, it'll be a batted ball. He could come up with the catch, or he could draw a pass interference penalty, obviously in tightly contested coverage. So you have to give Galladay a few chances in this game to try to create some big plays, and I hope the New York Giants come out aggressive early in the game with that. They got to do a better job of trying to get him, implemented into the offense at the beginning of the game. And last year, they didn't put him in crunch time at all.
I don't want them to force the ball either. But, yeah, they have to call some plays for these guys. I think that at the beginning of this game against Atlanta, you will see Galladay. I think you will see the ball go to Galladay early. I think you will see them try to get him involved early. I would like to see the Giants open up with a deep, right away. Just a deep pass. I don't give a damn where you have the ball. I don't care if you have it on your own 6. I don't care if you have it in midfield. I would like to see the first play that they run, play action pass, and just launch this shit way down the field to Galladay or anybody. Just throw it deep. Throw it deep.
Yeah. Especially with Terrell out their corner.
I don't think anybody will. I don't think they'll expect it.
Yeah. Got to take shots against that secondary.
Got to.
Yuri says Browns better do their job by beating the Bears. They should. It's in Cleveland. But yeah, of course, as Giants fans, we're all rooting for that. The Cincinnati Bengals screwed us this week. We're all rooting for that. And I think they will, Yuri. I think the Browns will win that.
Cleveland's a good team.
Very good team. NFL Expert says, what's up, boys? Ready for Sunday. Fingers crossed. Just got back from Don Bosco versus Bergen. Biggest rivalry in New Jersey. Yeah, Don Bosco Prep's one of the best high school teams in the nation, I think. Or at least they have been in the past. Shep, Jabril, and Saquon were supposed to be there. Oh, really? Interesting. They weren't, I guess.
Well, they're preparing to beat Atlanta, which is what they should be doing.
Yeah, NFL Experts. Maybe if they were 2-0, they'd be there.
Maybe.
The fact that they're 0-2, that's probably why they weren't there. Ron, man, thank you very much. The book on Slayton coming out of college was no hands, and he is showing that. Yeah, no hands and a limited route tree. That was the book on him, and that's what you're seeing right now.
His rookie season was good, though.
Yeah, his rookie season, you didn't see problems with the hands.
No.
But this year,
last year too. Last year he dropped.
Yeah, you saw it too.
And then that starts to get in your head, like fumbling. Then you start thinking about, oh shit, what if I drop this? Like when it's in the air and you're wide open, you start thinking, I can't drop this. I can't drop it. And inevitably you drop it because it's in your head. A lot of what they do is mental. You know, when you're when you're not thinking about stuff and you're just playing and just reacting, you better. My thing with Daniel Jones is sometimes I believe that he's thinking too much instead of just being reactionary. And by then it's too late. He's like, oh, I can't mess up. I can't mess up. And it makes you tentative. And I think that like Tiki Barber, I think at the beginning of his career, the fumbling got in his head. He fumbled a lot. Tom Coughlin fixed that. You never really saw that problem again. So, by the way, Tiki Barber's up for the Hall of Fame. He's a freaking Hall of Fame. Well, you put him in the damn Hall of Fame already. The guy started 7 years. For 7 years, he was a starter. He had over 10,000 yards rushing. Can you put him in the Hall of Fame?
He's not going to get in.
But
I'm not saying he shouldn't.
The Hall of Fame's garbage.
Yeah, I'm not saying he shouldn't, but he's not.
He's a Hall of Famer. Jason Taylor's not a Hall of Famer. He's in there.
Here's what I'll say, man. Here's what I'll say. Tiki Barber, and I know a lot of Giants fans hate Tiki Barber because of what he did on the way out.
Hate him or not, he was
Tiki
great.
Barber's the main reason why I'm as big of a Giant fan as I am. He was the first player I fell in love with, so I always credit him for that. I hate the way he handled it on the way out. Tiki Barber, for a 3 or 4 year stretch, was arguably the best running back in football. It was him. It was Sean Alexander, maybe LaDainian Tomlinson during that stretch. I can't remember. But he was right there. He was in the discussion as
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, at his best, he was damn good.
You put Terrell Davis in the Hall of Fame. I know Terrell Davis won 2 Super Bowls. It ain't Tiki Barber's fault that they didn't win a Super Bowl. Tiki played in the Super Bowl. He played on good Giants teams. They have the same damn numbers.
Listen, man, if it was up to me, Tiki Barber would be in the Hall of Fame.
He's a Hall of Famer.
If he
I'm buying a Tiki Barber jersey. He's a Hall of Famer.
And we talk about this all the time, Bad Dog.
Better than Emmitt Smith.
If Tiki plays 1 more year, I think he makes the Hall of Fame if they win that Super Bowl. The question is, and I think it's a great what if, because a lot of Giants fans just assume, they would have won. I don't know if they would have won that Super Bowl had Tiki Barber stayed on the team.
I don't either.
Because I think Eli became a better quarterback, and I think the platoon approach actually may have worked better. As great as Tiki Barber was, may have worked better splitting carries with Bradshaw, Jacobs, and everybody else.
It definitely could have, but like Tiki Barber averaged 4.7 yards in his career.
He was fantastic.
He had over 5,000 yards receiving. Tiki Barber had over 2,000 total yards from scrimmage the last 2 years of the last 2 seasons. The dude rushed for 1,860 yards and 1,662 yards, average over 5 yards a carry. The guy is a freaking Hall of Famer. I don't know what the hell they're looking at, but he's a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. You don't need to like him. I understand you don't like what he said about. Listen, Michael Strahan was an ass. I know how many times I gotta say that. The guy he was not good. He's not a good person, okay? He was an arrogant SOB. Nobody liked Michael Strahan, but you can't deny his greatness on the field. Tiki was nice as hell at training camp, I can tell you that. And yeah, he said something stupid about Eli. And it doesn't take anything away from what he did on the field. The guy's a Hall of Famer. He may not be a Hall of Fame announcer. He's a Hall of Fame player.
Great player.
I'm pissed off that he's not. He needs to be in a Hall of Fame. Sorry. Hall of Fame.
We'll see if he gets in. Adam, man, thank you very much. Saw a video on Saquon's.
Cast my vote for Tiki. I get a vote.
Adam says, saw a video on Saquon's bad decision-making was interesting. Lots of examples of him bouncing outside and losing yards instead of hitting the open hole. He's been bad so far, Adam. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because the guy hasn't played in a year. He's still not fully recovered. But, yeah, I mean, I think it's part of him not trusting his body yet to the full extent in terms of his explosiveness. And part of it is he is misjudging some running lanes. There's no doubt about it. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's in a new scheme. He's never played in it before. Not trying to make excuses for him, but the guy hasn't played in a year. I will start to get on him, though, probably starting this week if he continues to play that way, Adam.
I've been saying that for years. He needs to just take what he can get. Wayne Gallman took what he could get. Again, Wayne Gallman ain't going 80 yards to the house, but Wayne Gallman got 3 yards when there was 3 yards to be had. Saquon doesn't always do that. Saquon's got to do a better job of just going straight ahead sometimes instead of trying to make everything a touchdown. He can't do that. Now, granted, the run blocking's been crappy too. There hasn't been a lot of holes for Saquon to go through. But I do think that if Saquon can ever learn that skill of just taking 2 yards when it's there and be 2nd and 8 instead of 2nd and 12, he'll be a much more effective back. But like Chris said, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. The dude ain't played in a year, and the run blocking has been absolute trash.
Yeah.
So,
and he hasn't played in, we all talk about
he'll have a big week this week. I got a feeling.
Yeah, he hasn't played in this offensive scheme really either, right? I actually read an article on that today that may have something to do with it as well. Blue collar, man, thank you very much. He played soft zone to try and confuse the backups. It didn't work. We need to stick with the RPO and dump some passes to Barkley. Atlanta must win. I agree with you. I think we need to get Barkley out in open space. If it can't be in the run game, it has to be in the passing game. Have to get him out in open space. I think you hit that right on the head. I do think this week they're going to be more aggressive because first off, the Atlanta offensive line is horrible. As bad as our offensive line is, their offensive line is bad, like really bad.
No, it's awful.
And Matt Ryan has no mobility. He's a clear pocket passer.
That's a guy you want to blitz.
They have got to be aggressive against this guy.
Yep. Agreed.
Like Bridgewater, we were getting there, but he was just making plays with his legs. Matt Ryan ain't doing that. So I do think they're going to be more aggressive this week. We'll see, but I do think they will be blue collar. And Tudo, actually, Dyer, let me read this. It doesn't pop up on here, but another player that had promising start was Will Hernandez and isn't a free agent next year. I'm not paying him. I don't blame you. I mean, he hasn't looked good so far this year. I was encouraged with what I saw in the preseason. Not trying to make excuses for him. He has played on the right side. We'll see if he gets better throughout the year. But right now, I'm in agreement with you. I would not pay Will Hernandez at all right now. And you look at this offensive line right now, Baddog, and it's why, I was talking to a guy on Twitter today. Somebody said, would that be your number one focal point next year? It would be my number one, my number two, my number three, and my number four. I look at this offensive line, Baddog. Who on this offensive line is part of the future outside of Andrew Thomas?
Nobody. I mean, well, Nick Gates might have been until the injury.
We don't even know if he's going to be the same player.
That's what I'm saying, until the injury, which is why when I don't remember what video it was, it might have been the Michael Lombardi ripping Dave Gettleman when I said, I don't know what Gettleman's done. I'm going to fix the offensive line. And he's taken one lineman in the first round in 6 first-round picks.
Yeah.
That's not how you don't fix the offensive line by taking projects in the 3rd and 5th round. That's not how you fix the offensive line. You fix the offensive line by taking the best available offensive lineman on the damn board when it comes to your pick in the 1st round. That's how you do it. That's what you're supposed to do.
Here's what I'll say about Gettleman. He had me up until this year in terms of the offensive line because I said, all right, he tried with Solder. He drafted Hernandez early 2nd round. He traded for Zeitler. But the fact he ignored it this offseason, he lost me.
Yeah, and he let Zeitler walk.
If you draft Slater in the 1st round, you know what? You're making an effort. You're trying to fix this offensive line. When you let Zeitler walk and you didn't, and maybe you want to argue that he shouldn't have taken Slater. You love the trade. You thought they should have traded. Well, then you need to take an offensive lineman with the 20th pick or the 2nd round.
Yeah.
Like, that's where he lost me. That's where he lost me this year.
Now, maybe next year, maybe they do take 2 offensive linemen in the 1st round.
But unfortunately,
my problem is he hasn't fixed it in 4 years. He's still got the same damn problems we had when he took over.
Yeah.
Yeah, Solder, I'm not going to blame him for Solder. That was the best available lineman he could get. Will Hernandez looked like a beast his rookie season.
Yeah.
But, again, you let Zeitler walk and you didn't replace him. That's a big omission.
He banked on his draft picks from 2020, and it was a gamble.
You can't have enough offensive line. It's like having enough pitching. You can't have enough pitching. You can't have enough offensive linemen. I'm not even an offensive line guy. But he hasn't fixed it. Whatever he's done hasn't worked.
It's football 101, the offensive line. I mean, you need a strong line. Tudo, man, thank you very much. For every Giants losing game this season, more Eagles fans will have broken noses and missing front teeth. Hopefully it's not 17 missing teeth. Hopefully it's like 5.
They already have missing teeth to begin with. They're Eagles fans. They're missing brain cells as well. If you ever watched any of their videos, it's just amazing how they're. By the way, I saw a little clip of Philly 500. I love how he calls me mad. Like he gets way more mad than I do. Way more.
Oh, he came at you and said you were mad?
No, the whole bear dog is a mad dog thing. Listen, I get pissed. He gets more pissed than I do, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Go. Mark Holmes has a video on there. After the stream is over, go look at Philly 500 losing his mind. Way more mad than me.
Alvaro, what's going on, man? Super excited to start. I know you're a huge Knicks fan too, so super excited to start calling Knicks games with you. That's how you found my channel, I think. He says, I'm really concerned about Chris's health if the Giants lose on Sunday. Salute from Chile to the dynamic duo. Goats, man. Alvaro, I appreciate it, man. I'm sure Baddog
buddy. Appreciate it.
But thanks for popping in, man. And Knicks is starting soon, man. I know you're excited about that. That starts in
October
20th, I think, their first game. So should be a lot of fun, man. Mike, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I think Garrett and Judge are guys who think surprise is overrated. Don't surprise anyone. Just rely on perfect execution. That's hard. Yeah, I think you're right, especially when it comes to. I think both of them. I think you're right. You know, a lot of people talk about Garrett and how it's a I guess a conservative offense, but I think that's Judge's mentality too. All you got to do is go back and look at his opening press conference. He talked about how he doesn't believe in any specific like fancy type of scheme. He believes in hard-nosed football. He's going to punch in the nose for 60 minutes. And I think Garrett's the same way. That's always been Garrett's MO with his offensive scheme. And when he has the proper pieces in place, it can work. But like Mike said, it's hard to do because you need a really strong offensive line for Garrett's offense to orchestrate properly. You need to be able to block, to be able to throw the ball down the field as consistently as Garrett wants to in the Eric Oriel offense. If your quarterback's getting sacked every 3 passes, it ain't going to work.
Yeah, well, listen, I coined the term prevent offense, right? And that's where we played. We didn't play that against Washington. He did take some chances. We did see some deep balls. We did see Daniel Jones run the RPO effectively. Or even, whatever. I mean, just maybe it was just a straight run. I mean, the first touchdown we scored was a called quarterback draw right up the middle. So we did see him mix it up a little bit. I don't think Garrett did a bad job against Washington. I really don't, because again, we had a touchdown called back and we had a touchdown dropped. I mean, they really could have scored 40 points against Washington's defense. They had a chance to score 40 points. So
for all the fans that hate Garrett and I get it. He's not the most innovative guy. I get it. It's not a modern day offense that fans want. Understandable.
But you need the pieces for that. We don't have a Tyreek Hill on this team.
But at the end of the day, Bad Dog, let's be fair. Garrett was a Darius Slayton drop away for putting up the most points against Washington since 2019.
That's what I'm saying. And a holding call.
So
we should have scored 43.
You could point to individual moments from within the game that you're like, oh, I don't like the scheme. He should have done this here. He should have done this there.
You do that every game.
But he got results. I mean, if you're going to bash Garrett every opportunity that you get, and he's going to be, I call him the Giants pinata because everything that's wrong with the Giants, it's Garrett's fault.
Yeah, Dr. Garrett. That's why we coined him Dr. Garrett last year.
If you're going to do that, when the offense looks good, you got to give him credit. And last week, the offense looked good.
The same thing with Daniel Jones. People want to kill him. Even when he has a good game, they look for the smallest things to get on him about. So you're just never going to satisfy some people. That's okay. It's, you can't tell people how to be fans. And I get that. Again, the losing is frustrating, but I think sometimes because we're losing, you nitpick. Like I said, if we would have won that game, nobody's talking about Daniel Jones either overthrew that or Slayton's drop. You're not talking about Jason Garrett's game plan. We're not talking about Kadarius Tony. We're not talking about any of this. We're not talking about firing people. We're talking about we're 1-1. We would be in first place because we'd be the only team in the division win. So we'd be in first place, and we'd have a very winnable game against Atlanta where we could go 2-1. And Dallas or Philadelphia is going to be 1-2. Things would just be totally different if Dexter Lawrence doesn't jump off sides. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, it's amazing how that tiny little thing changed the complexion of the entire season for Giants fans. Yeah. It's incredible. But I think Garrett and Jones did a good job. And you just hope that the offense builds off of that against Atlanta, who's a terrible defensive team, and that the defense finds their form from last year. Then the Giants might actually be something, because we were worried about the offense. The offense looks like it can play a little bit. And this is without getting Kadarius Tony and Kenny Galladay involved, and Barkley hasn't done anything.
Barkley not being himself yet, yeah. So, I'm going to give you 3 names, and I'm curious to get the chat's take on this. Joe Judge, Patrick Graham, Jason Garrett. Who's done the best job of the 3 so far this year?
It's tough.
I think it's Jason
Garrett. I think it's Garrett.
So I get that fans do not like Jason Garrett, but there's other blame to go around with this football team.
Oh, the whole team deserves blame.
And Patrick Graham deserves a lot of blame. Joe Judge deserves a lot of blame. Jason Garrett deserves blame as well. But for fans to act like he's the only problem with this team and he's the guy holding this team back, we have a lot more problems than Dr. Garrett. Believe me.
Yeah. Like I said, if the offense comes out and struggles against Atlanta, he's going to be the pinata again. But if they put up 31 points and they lose 34-31, that's not Garrett's fault.
Yeah. And
29
thank you very much. From a sympathetic
20
fan, I want to see the. I'm sorry, Baddog. What were you saying?
I was just gonna say 29 points should be enough to beat a team.
Again, especially Washington with a backup quarterback.
Right. That should have been enough. Now, granted, we kicked 5 field goals. I wish we would have got more, but we had touchdowns called back and one dropped. That's not Garrett's fault.
And Ellie Lumet, thank you very much. From a sympathetic fan, I want to see the Giants pound the Falcons into submission with their running game. At some point, the O-line has to step up. Sure. I mean, I'd love to see that every game. I'm an old school guy. I would love to win football games. Like Mike said, that's hard to do weekly. You need to have a great offensive line, like the Giants did. In 2008 when we had the top.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was an amazing team.
But that's hard to be able to do that on a weekly basis. But I love that. That's my favorite type of football.
That was an amazing team.
Teams into submission.
That's the way the Giants would succeed the best on offense, and it would keep the defense off the field. The running game is extremely important.
Yeah,
extremely
hard to do on a weekly basis.
We played well because we ran the ball effectively. It was Daniel Jones, but we still ran the ball extremely effectively. And Saquon Barkley did have one big run, which was nice to see again. But because Daniel Jones was able to run the ball, that helped out a lot. It helped out his passing game. It does. So.
Of course. The run's always going to help the pass. The pass is always going to help the run.
Everything's predicated off the run. Everything.
You can be. Simon, thank you very much. Totally agree, Baddog. Hall of Fame is about talent and success.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, especially in football. Like if it was baseball, I think there's a much stronger argument against Tiki making it because baseball is all about compiling stats. And it's not about top seasons, I guess. Like you need to hit those 3,000 hits or whatever. Football, like you said, you pointed to Terrell Davis. There's several other players you could point to that were great, incredible for 3 or 4 years, but didn't have a long career of success. I think that there was at least a strong argument for Tiki to make the Hall of Fame. I just don't think he's going to make it.
He should.
Adam, thank you very much. What did you guys think of Monday Night Football with the Mannings? I could see that as a series with former players, the ESPN broadcast team last year was not my favorite. Did you watch the Mannings broadcast? Okay, no. I did, so I'll speak on it. I only saw bits and pieces of the first game. I was kind of going in and out because I was busy with something else. I watched the entire game with the Mannings broadcast, the second game. So from a lot of people that I talked to, Adam, on Twitter, most people said the first game was better. The second game, I love their chemistry. I think Eli and Peyton play, of course, they're brothers. They they play well with each other. The guest to me sucked outside of the last one. What's his name? McAfee was great. Pat McAfee came on. He was a barrel of laughs. He was great.
Well, he has his own show on Sirius XM.
Yeah,
too, so.
he needs a show on he needs a show on TV.
He comes on right before Mad Dog. So
he's awesome. He came on. He stole the show. The other guests, how do you have Patrick Willis on there for 25 minutes and you don't bring up the NFC Championship game between him and Eli Manning? They didn't bring it up once. He put me to sleep. He was bad. Brett Favre admitted that he didn't even watch the first half of the football game. And Rob Gronkowski came on and said that he was getting bored with the football game. So if you're going to bring guests on, have them be invested in the game.
Right,
so
put us on.
Yeah, exactly.
Eli Peyton, hey. We'll come on a Monday night. Come on, especially this one. Dallas, Philly, ESPN, give us a call. Can you imagine that? Oh, that'd be good. With me, with the Eagles, and the Cowboys. Come on, Eli. Let's go. That would be great TV. Ratings.
By the way, baby, I was talking to my brother while I was watching it because I was watching with my brother, and I said to him, ESPN, not you and me specifically, but just YouTube in general, ESPN stole this idea from YouTube. Because you watch Peyton and Eli, it's like they're sitting on their couches at home watching the game on the TV, calling the game. They stole the idea from YouTube. And they see that fans like that. They like that, they like a more, I guess, casual approach where you get to. So I honestly think they took the idea from YouTube. Yeah,
well, I know the Giants took the roundtable idea from me, so whatever. I mean, they're not the only ones. Yeah, you have a good idea. People are going to tell. It's fine. That's what happens. They're always influenced by something, but you have to be good at it. Yeah, everybody's influenced by something. Everybody. Yeah. Like when I call games, obviously there's big influences of people that I listen to growing up that I'm influenced by. When I do basketball, I'm influenced by Marv Albert. I'm influenced by Bill Raftery. I was influenced by Vince Scully. There's just, it's a lot of things you do, but I mean, I can't be better than those guys. Those guys are freaking legendary, but everybody's influenced by something. So, but yeah, I think you and I should be on there.
They were great though. Peyton and Eli are great though. I think they're great. I just don't like the I'm not a big fan of all the guests.
No, put us on and we'll be a big fan of the guests. Come on.
Mike,
I know they're watching, so let's go.
Mike, man, thank you very much. I always think back to Philly 500 video when the Cowboys took CeeDee Lamb. Oh yeah, that was fun. That was fun. And then when they drafted Jalen Hurts, the same draft. That was great.
Yeah. But he calls me mad. They stink. He can add a lot this year.
We'll see. I don't. I'm gonna wait till the Eagles start to fall up before I start to hammer them. They got the nice win against Atlanta.
I'm not hammering them.
I still think they're bad, but we'll see how they do against
Dallas. Will beat them.
I think Dallas will win. I hope they don't. I'm rooting for the Eagles this week, but
I'm not. I'm rooting for Dallas.
The reason I'm rooting for the Eagles is just because I think Dallas stands a better chance to win the division. So I'd rather see Dallas lose that game.
I just hate Philadelphia that much.
I do. I hate
gotta root for Dallas. Makes me sick.
And Durant, man, thank you very much. Garrett's offense needs an offensive line. Always say, yeah. And that's why I almost blame the Giants more than Garrett, because the Giants should have known that when they brought him in. We didn't have the team, much like we didn't have the team to support Saquon Barkley. We didn't have the team to support what Garrett was going to try to run here. Roldy, man, thank you very much. I love my Giants, but what really bothers me is the conservative approach as an organization. I wanted us to hire a GM from the outside. We ended up with Dave Gettleman. I didn't want a running back with the second pick. We took Barkley. I want it to be modern. Hey, man, that's fair. I mean, technically, I know Gettleman has ties to the Giants, but he was coming from the Panthers. But yes, he has ties to the Giants. You wanted a guy that didn't have any attachments to the Giants whatsoever. And completely understandable. And I think a lot of fans feel the way you do. They want a younger GM, a guy from the outside, something new and something different. And at this point, Brody, if we move on from Gettleman, which if we're bad this year, we're gonna, that's what I want too. I don't want more of the same. I don't want to bring in somebody that has ties to Mara. You can, like Baddog always says, you keep doing the same thing. Insanity's doing the same thing over and over again, and not trying to, and expect
different results. You can't, you can't be at the gym and not work out and eat Big Macs every night and wonder why the hell am I not getting in shape? You got to change something. You got to do something. You can't keep doing the same thing. If it's not working, you got to change stuff. It's just a fact, because if it's not working for a reason. So why would you continue to do the same thing? Why would you continue to do things that make you fail?
Yeah.
You got to do a better job. Barkley, I did want Barkley. I'm not going to, when Baker Mayfield got taken, I didn't want Darnold. Definitely did not want Darnold. I did mention Quentin Nelson, but I didn't think they were taking him number 2. And I was just scared they're going to take Sam Darnold. I did not want Darnold here. And I didn't want Daniel Jones either, but we ended up with him. So what can you do? I thought Barkley was a good pick. They were trying to win. He brought in Nate Solder. He drafted Will Hernandez. He did try to fix the offensive line his first year in here. He still had Eli Manning at the back of his career. We still had Odell Beckham. 2017, we were a year removed from being 11-5, and there was a ton of injuries in 2017. So
they took a swing and they missed.
Hindsight being 2020 was the wrong pick, but in the moment, that seemed like it was a good pick, to be honest. From my perspective,
they took a swing and they missed. And when you miss at number 2, it looks really bad.
When you miss at number 6, it looks really bad. When you miss at number 4, it looks really bad. Yeah. When you miss in all those picks, you're 0-2.
I don't think they've missed it 4. I still think Andrew Thomas is going to be good.
I do. I'm not going.
And I think it was the right pick to take a tackle.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I like the Andrew Thomas pick.
To be honest with you, Baddog, the only pick, like obviously we were shocked and we were upset on draft night when they took Daniel Jones, but you can make an argument that they should, that if they believed he was their guy, you take your quarterback. You can make that argument. He
wasn't getting him at 17. I know that.
I don't think they were going to get him at 17.
He wasn't getting there at 17.
Yeah. The Thomas pick, obviously you can make an argument. Tackle. We needed a tackle. The Barkley pick, I understand the fans' frustration because Saquon Barkley, and I love him. He's my favorite player on the team. And if he's not here with the Giants long term, I hope he goes and wins 7 Super Bowls. I think he's a great guy, and I love him as a talent. He's been hurt. He's had some bad luck. But we never had the team to support Saquon Barkley. And the Giants were not in a place, of course, like you said, hindsight 2020, but they were not in a place to want to, they should have blown it up then and there. They shouldn't have tried to go for another Super Bowl run with Eli Manning. Hindsight 2020. But we didn't have the offensive line to support him. They tried to fix it in one offseason. They got Nate Solder. They drafted Will Hernandez. It didn't work.
Well, all I can say is this, Chris. After the 2018 season, did anybody go Saquon Barkley was the wrong pick?
No, you're right. You're right. Well, some people probably did, but most people did not.
After that season where he led the league in scrimmage yards, I don't think anybody goes, boy, that was a terrible pick. Now that he got hurt,
he won Rookie of the Year.
That's what I'm saying. Now that he's dealt with some injury problems, now you can look back and go, yeah, that was wrong. And now that we haven't improved in years, yeah, you can go back 4 years anytime and go, Jesus, that was wrong. But even after his rookie season, there's nobody that sat there and goes, wow, that was a terrible Dave Gettleman pick. I didn't want him. Yeah. There's nobody that said, I didn't want that guy. 20, whatever the hell he had, 2,100, 2,200 yards. Somebody's going, yeah, Jesus, he sucks. Hindsight, it's easy. It's easy to be an armchair Monday morning quarterback. Anybody can do that. I do it all the damn time. It's easy.
Here's what I'll say about the Barkley pick. And I understand why people think it was a bad pick. And I understand why people think it wasn't. But it was undeniable. You talk to almost any scout in that draft going into the draft. Fans who want to complain about the pick will forget to mention this. He was the best player in the draft.
Yeah.
And I know people look at the running back position, but he was the best player in the draft. Would I prefer to trade down? Yeah, I'd be lying. On draft night, I wanted to trade down. I wasn't on YouTube when it happened. But he was the best player in the draft. The Giants felt he was. They took him. It hasn't worked.
Yeah, listen, I talked about when I was talking about trading Odell Beckham a year before they did it, saying they should trade him to the Browns. I mentioned I liked Sony Michel later in the draft. I said the Giants can go out, they could get these picks, they could get Sony Michel later in the draft and not take Saquon Barkley and get Quentin Nelson and Bradley Chubb. Those are two guys that I was talking about. But again, I'd be hard pressed to think anybody after the 2018 season was like, that was terrible. That was. And
I see people saying Lamar Jackson. I see people saying Nick Chubb. When I'm saying the best player in the draft, I mean going into the draft. I'm not saying after the fact, after Lamar Jackson won an MVP. Going into the draft, nobody was saying Lamar Jackson was the best player in the draft. Right. There's a reason he almost dropped to the second round. A team had to trade up to get him in the last pick in the first round.
He also ended up going to a good team. When you go at the back end of the first round, you're going to a good team. You're going to a good situation. You're not coming into a situation like Sam Darnold did with the Jets or Daniel Jones did with the Giants or Baker did with Cleveland. Now, Baker's good. Or Kyler Murray did with Arizona. Like, they're a game changer. I love those two quarterbacks anyway. As a Sooner fan, I love those two quarterbacks. But when you're drafted 28th, wherever the hell Lamar Jackson was, you're going into a good situation. But Josh Allen went into a bad situation. They were bad his first year. Then he third year really turned it around, but they weren't good the first couple of years he was there. They did it by getting guys like Stephon Diggs and drafting properly. And it set Josh Allen up for success. Yeah. But these guys that come in at the beginning, look at Trevor Lawrence. You think Trevor Lawrence is in a good situation? No. Jacksonville's freaking awful. Justin Herbert, he's great, but Los Angeles struggled last year. So you got to understand, Lamar Jackson was in a situation to succeed. These guys that go into the back end of the round succeed. And like Chris said, you can talk about Nick Chubb. Again, we're the hindsight being 2020. Yeah, Nick Chubb. Well, second round, Nick Chubb, of course. Now.
Yeah. He's also running behind the best offensive line in football. That doesn't hurt.
And they fixed that a lot too since he's been there. And they fixed it for Baker Mayfield. Because in 2019, they were terrible.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Baddog, to me, the bigger problem, and yes, hindsight 2020, it was a bad pick. We should have started the rebuild. We should have traded down. The bigger problem, though, Baddog, is the Giants have been such a bad organization that these players that they've brought in and that they drafted with these high picks were set up to fail because this team has not built the team properly for 10 years.
Right.
If Saquon Barkley goes to the Browns and stays healthy, he's the best running back in football.
Yes.
If Daniel Jones goes to the San Francisco 49ers and has Kyle Shanahan, he's a damn good quarterback.
Yes.
They were set up to fail.
Exactly.
That goes on the organization, more, in my opinion, more than the players. You have to, when you get these guys in, you have to have a team equipped to get the most out of their talents.
Exactly.
Set up to fail from the start.
And Barkley didn't fail. Barkley did not fail from the start.
Yeah, he had a great rookie year.
Barkley did not fail at all.
He had a great rookie year. I'm not trying. My point is, they were not set up to get the best out of their abilities.
Of course, because like you said, if Barkley goes to Cleveland, how good is he? You Giants fans, the guys are saying, "Oh, Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley is the wrong pick." Do you really believe in your heart of hearts that if Nick Chubb was on the Giants and Saquon Barkley was on the Browns, that Nick Chubb would be the player that he is with the Browns if he was with the Giants, and vice versa? Do you really think Nick Chubb is that much better than Saquon Barkley that was the wrong pick because Nick Chubb's had a better career in Cleveland because Barkley's been injured? Like, You got to understand the situations. Like Chris said, if Daniel Jones has Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, he's probably better. If he has Dallas's team, he's better. It's not just a player, it's the pieces around the player. And yeah, they haven't done a good job building around it. They haven't done a good job of building around Daniel Jones. They haven't done a good job of building around Saquon. They haven't done a good job at all. This is why we are 0-2 for the 5th straight year. Because they just haven't done their job as far as drafting goes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And Tudo, man, thank you very much. The strategy to win the game on Sunday is easy. They have to put a pressure on them and slowly but surely force them to lay an egg. There you go, Tudo.
Tudo's right. If the Giants are going to win, in Atlanta's thinking the same thing. When you're playing against a really bad team, or what you perceive to be a bad team, you have to go out and put them down early and go, here we go again.
Yep.
You can't let them hang around. The Giants can't go up 14-0, have 2 good drives in a row, and be up 14-0, and then sit on the damn ball, take the air out of the ball, and all of a sudden, at the end of the 3rd quarter, it's 14-14. Can't have that. In Atlanta can't go up 14-0 and let the Giants back in the game. Both of these teams got to go. We got to go out. We got to establish dominance. When we're ahead, step in the throat. Don't let them up. Put them away early. Make them believe, here we go again. We lost.
Yeah,
the Giants got to do that. The Giants
be aggressive. Don't take the pedal off the metal. Be aggressive and start to finish. Right. Alvin, man, thank you very much. Gettleman he's gonna go. We're not trying to defend Gettleman. If this team's bad, he's gonna go. He's setting us back 5 years. I would have drafted Josh Allen. Maybe you're telling the truth, Alvin. I don't think most Giant fans would have drafted Josh Allen that year with Saquon Barkley, but maybe you are telling the truth. Obviously, now people say Josh Allen.
I would have never thought about Josh Allen at any point.
And the other thing I will say, Bad Dog, is Josh Allen would not be Josh Allen with the New York Giants.
No.
Let's be real. He would not be Josh Allen with the New York Giants.
No. Josh Allen was not good his first 2 years in Buffalo.
Yeah.
At all.
And then they got him a line, and they got him a great offensive coordinator, and they got him Stephon Diggs.
Exactly.
You know, and I'm not. And Josh Allen's a great talent. Everybody knows.
Yes, but he wasn't good in Buffalo's first 2 years.
But I don't know if he would have been successful with the Giants.
Like we talked about Sam Darnold at the beginning of this stream, right? He may not be. He may be dumbing it down to Christian McCaffrey, and I'm not really say Sam Darnold's a great quarterback, but he definitely looks better with Carolina than he did with the Jets at any time.
Yeah,
because of the pieces.
Maybe Alvin's telling the truth, and obviously Josh Allen would have been a better pick based off the way he's played, and we both would have taken Josh Allen, so we agree with you there. Tristan Wirfs, I was fine with Andrew Thomas, Tristan Wirfs, or Jedrick Wills on draft night. Any one of those 3, I would have been happy with. So that's why I will never bash the Andrew Thomas pick. I was completely fine with it.
So was I.
And Rashawn Slater, I wanted him, Albin. So I was preaching him since December. This was since I've been on YouTube, because I don't count the Saquon pick because I wasn't on YouTube for that. I've been on YouTube for 3 drafts. This was the first draft where, even though I was completely shocked and mesmerized that they took Daniel Jones, I was able to be like, okay, that was their quarterback. This was the first year where they lost me with what they did in the draft since I've been on YouTube. And we talked about it earlier, but the offensive line to me was a clear need, and they didn't address it. Blue Collar Man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. He says, has anyone seen Leo got paid and went missing?
He misses Dalvin Tomlinson is what he misses.
I agree. But what I say to that, Bad Dog, and I completely agree. Dalvin Tomlinson obviously helped him out as a football player, but we were only going to be able to keep one. And if we kept Dalvin and let Leo go, I don't think
Dalvin wouldn't have been the player either.
They helped each other.
They did.
And I think the Giants, and I think they were right, they just haven't done it. I think they thought it was easier to replace Dalvin Tomlinson. And I think you agreed with me.
I wanted Leonard Williams back. I'm not going to sit here.
Yeah,
I thought the Giants had to pay Leonard, and they did. And it's 2 games, and he hasn't been good. But, Leonard he's like Jason Pierre-Paul, kind of. Jason Pierre-Paul would have really good games, and then he would disappear for 3 or 4 games. And that's kind of Leonard. So maybe his stats are a bit skewed. To me, the game that was Leonard's signature was the game against Seattle. And I felt like after that game, it was a huge game for the Giants. He stepped up big, pretty much. The defense won it. And at that point, I'm like, boy, we got to pay this guy. He stepped up big in a really big spot. He played a really good game against Dallas at the end of the season. Like, I'm just like, you know what? We have to pay him. He's our best impact player on defense, maybe outside of Jabril Peppers and James Bradbury. I thought we had to pay him. It just so, and Gettleman wasn't going to let him walk after he traded for him either. You got to realize that too. So with the lesser of 2 evils, Gettleman ain't going to go, whoops, I should have never traded for him.
Yeah,
I'm going to keep promising to let him walk.
Reece drafted Dalvin. But obviously in an ideal world, I would have loved to keep both. I knew we weren't going to be able to keep both. And I thought Dalvin was more. I still think Dalvin's more replaceable. The Giants just haven't done a good job so far of replacing him.
Well, Dexter Lawrence has to step up, man. Dexter Lawrence got to be better.
Yeah,
it's got to be
and
better.
Man, thank you very much, man. He's talking about Saquon. He was always a bad pick, very good player. Running back at 2 was always bad, just like Pitts at 4 was bad. They were both the best players in the draft. Just teams miss. Grim, I agree with you. I do think it was a bad pick. But it has nothing to do with Barkley, the player. That's what I always say. I do think it was fair going in for people to think that Saquon Barkley was the best player in the draft. The reason I think it was a bad pick was not because of Barkley. It was because we didn't have the team situated to support him. And I think they needed to work on that support more before they brought in a running back like Saquon Barkley. They needed to address the offensive line or draft a quarterback if they felt like one of those guys was the guy. But I was a guy that was in favor of trading down and trying to fill in the more important holes, the offensive line, yada, yada, yada. So that was my opinion on draft night. I was happy when we drafted Barkley. I was excited that he was a New York Giant. He's my favorite player on the team. I think he's an incredible talent. And I do think the Giants could have a good team if they build it properly with Barkley on the team. But on draft night, I agree with you. It's not because of Barkley, though. It's because we didn't have the team to support Barkley. Ezekiel Elliott was a good pick by the Cowboys because they had a team that could support him, right? Zeke was a top 4 or 5 pick. The Cowboys already had a great offensive line established. The Giants didn't have that for Barkley.
But see, Gettleman tried, and that's why I didn't. That's why I didn't think Barkley was a bad pick, because he got Solder, who was the best available free agent, and Solder had been very good in New England. We didn't know Solder was going to be bad here. He did draft Will Hernandez. So to me, I'm like, you had Eli Manning, and you still had Odell.
Yeah.
You had Evan Engram. You had Sterling Shepard. You had a lot of talent on offense that was just banged up in 2017. Now, granted, it didn't end up working, and you were hoping that by moving Eric Flowers over to the right side, he was going to get better because he played right tackle in Miami. You were hoping that it got better, and it didn't work. It didn't work. It was bad. The whole thing was bad. It sucked. It just didn't work out. He tried. So I understand why he went. Now, I understand why he did what he did. And I still, like I said there, I didn't want Barkley. I did want Barkley.
Yeah, I understand why he did what he did. I agree with you there. But I also could agree with fans that think it was a bad pick.
Yeah, I can agree with them. I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. Amazing Guy says Andrew Norwell was the best available free agent. But this goes back to what I say all the time when it comes to free agency. I agree with you. First off, Norwell didn't really work out with where he went to. But I agree with you. But the guy has to want to come here. The Giants tried to get Norwell. He didn't want to come here. So the next best available guy was Nate Solder. So they got Nate Solder. He was the best available guy that wanted to be a New York Giant. So. And Will, man, thank you very much. It's hard to say if a pick was a failure. It completely depends on the surrounding of the franchise. I agree. Listen, it's the franchise more than the pick. That's what I always go. That's always my philosophy. The Giants it didn't matter who they drafted there. They weren't going to be set up for success because the team was a mess. Sniper, man, thank you very much. So how were Flowers and Apple set up to fail? This team just doesn't know how to draft sometimes. Well, Flowers is just a bust. I mean, you can make an argument that they should have tried to move Flowers over to the guard, which they didn't do, and he had later success in the NFL. And I know a lot of fans felt that way, that they should have moved him over to the guard, which the Giants never did. But obviously, Flowers was a mega bust. Eli Apple was a panic pick. That was just a bad pick. That was a panic pick. The Giants thought they were going to get Conklin. They got a team traded up to get him, and Conklin didn't fall to them, and they ended up taking Apple. That's what happened there.
Yeah, Leonard Floyd too. They both got jumped. The two guys that they got jumped for, and Reece didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And as far as Flowers go, same thing. They wanted Brandon Sheriff. They thought he'd be there at 9. He went to Washington 5, and that was the end of that. Reece did a terrible job after his first couple of years with the Giants. Just terrible. After 2009 or 2010, he was really bad. It started with 2011 when he took Prince Amukamara. Should have taken Mark Ingram in that draft. That's where it started to fall down for him.
And Albat says, schoolgirl playing hopscotch run. But he's not a big fan of Saquon Barkley. Schoolgirls playing hopscotch run better than Saquon Barkley. Skip, hop, jump, no straight running.
No.
He's not Brandon Jacobs. I'll say that.
No, and to be fair, again, where does he have the run? But I agree. I've said that for a long time. Lower your shoulder, get what you can get. Make a decision.
And thank you, Al, man. I appreciate you for being here, buddy. Will J says the team on paper is built like a potential playoff team, but for some reason, whether it's the coaching or the player production, we don't ever play up to the names, reputation, etc.
Lack of execution.
I think it's a combination of the players and the coach. I don't think it's one or the, definitively one or the other. I think it's a combination of both. And if this team's going to turn it around this year, the coaching has to be better and the players have to play a lot better. We need to execute.
Lack of execution and turnovers, just bad penalties and turnovers are the most inopportune times. Giants shoot themselves a lot.
And the one thing that I didn't really talk about it on YouTube when it happened, but the one thing I hated that came out of Joe Judge's mouth before the year started this year, he said that the first couple of games are almost an extension of preseason. And as soon as he said that, I'm like, they're not going to get off to a good start. I was hoping they could find a way to get a win, but you never want to hear your coach saying that because that is not, especially to a fan base like ours where the team always starts 0-2.
Well, Galladay said the same thing.
Like, you had a full offseason to prepare for this. You don't want your head coach coming out and saying that the first 2-3 games are an extension of the preseason. I did not like hearing that to start the year. But, Will, man, thank you very much. Ed says 4 years and Gettleman didn't do a thing. He killed us. We'll see this year, but if this year doesn't work out good, you're absolutely right, Mark. And it's obviously trending that way, and hopefully they could turn it around. But right now, you have a right to be upset. Matt says, my one complaint with Gettleman was he talked about how O-line and Hogmollies were critical, and then aside from Andrew Thomas, not so much.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said, Matt, I try to be as fair as I can in this situation. And like Baddog said, he spent more money than anybody else at the left tackle position in 2018. He traded for Zeitler. He drafted Hernandez relatively early. So he did try.
The beginning.
But this year he needed to continue to try. He couldn't be satisfied with just a fifth-round guard and basically a fourth-round tackle as a comp pick and just expect those guys to step in and do a really good job in a year where you have to evaluate your quarterback.
Especially after you lost Zeitler.
Yeah, especially after you lost Zeitler. He needed to continue it this year. So that was my issue. I didn't really have an issue. Obviously, Nate Solder didn't work out, but I didn't really have an issue in terms of his focus on the offensive line up until this past year. And then you lost me. Mark, man, thank you very much. Last year, Gallman had better runs than Barkley.
Well, yeah. Barkley played 1.5 games.
And he's coming up an injury. He hasn't played in a year. And
he should have.
The run blocking was good last year, the last 8 games.
It was.
I'm not saying Barkley's playing well. He's not. But the run blocking's been really bad. Devontae Booker ain't running for nothing. I mean, the run blocking's been really bad.
I'm giving Barkley more than 2 games coming off an ACL. You can't give up on the guy. I mean, they picked up a 5th-year option for a reason. But at the end of the day, I don't know what the hell he is. And, that's why last year I did a video talking about trading him. And like I said, everybody killed me for that. I think outside the box, way outside the box, not with the Odell Beckham thing. Way outside, I said, this guy doesn't fit. We need more than a wide receiver. It ain't going to change it. And the more I thought about it last year, I said, you know what? Saquon Barkley ain't helping his team because I watched what Wayne Gallman could do, and I go, we don't need him. Which when you look back at it now, like I said, hindsight being 2020, I'm like, yeah, that was the wrong pick. But that night I wanted him. I'm not going to sit there and go, I didn't. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't want Saquon Barkley and I thought it was the wrong pick when he took him. But when I watched the way we could run the ball with a guy like Wayne Gallman and Devontae Freeman and Alfred Morris, scrap heap guys, I said, you don't need Barkley. So if you can get offensive linemen or picks for Barkley, freaking do it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give up. I can't. He's on the team now. I can't give up on him. I got to hope that he reverts to 2018.
I know Giant fans don't like the guy, and I knew they were going to jump on him the first. The fans who don't like him are going to jump on him the first chance they get this year. Like you said, I cannot evaluate the guy coming up an ACL tear that clearly doesn't look like himself yet. I got to let him get back a little bit into game shape and see what this guy can do this year.
It takes about a year, right? What? And he had to wait till when? When did he actually have the surgery? November?
He really didn't start playing in preseason until like the last week. Like, he didn't play in any preseason games. He didn't really start. He wasn't getting contact until like the last week of preseason. And then they just threw him into the games.
Let's see what he does against Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, he's had 10 days off now. The first 2 games were 3 days apart. So,
yeah, let's see what he does against Atlanta.
And Peter, man, thank you very much, man. Who do you blame most for the loss? Slayton dropping the pass, Judge being a wussy after the Bradbury interception, Lawrence jumping offside. Can I say Patrick Graham?
I was going to say Patrick Graham.
Can I say Patrick Graham is the most option D? But I think it's a culmination of all those things. I don't think it's one specific person but if I had to say the biggest, it was the defense. And Patrick Graham, I think, is the guy that should be held most accountable for the defense's performance. But if I have to pick between those 3, I'll say Slayton, because if he catches that ball, we don't worry about B or C. I'll say Slayton.
I'm going to say it's B, because when Bradbury intercepted that,
you gotta win the game.
I said the Giants need to go for the damn end zone.
I agree.
Not play for a field goal, and they did. So, no. To me, Because if Judge just, and again, maybe it doesn't work. Chris is right. If Slayton don't drop the pass, none of
that's the only reason why I said A, because if he catches it, B and C never happen.
Right. So,
but I agree about Joe Judge. He's got to be more aggressive there.
Definitely.
You got to play to win.
Got to play to win.
Cruz, man, thank you very much. Some of us thought that Solder was a product of Brady. I said that back then. Even McAdoo said he was no good. McAdoo knew better than Gettleman. Yeah, I mean, listen, I even knew as a fan, again, I wasn't on YouTube when it first happened, but in the back of my head, I didn't think Solder was going to be horrible. And Solder, for being fair, was not horrible the second half of his first year here with the Giants. He was actually very good the last 8 games. He was really bad the first 8 games. But when they signed Solder, I knew he was never going to lose. It was like it was kind of like the Golladay contract, where I still think Galladay's going to be good with the Giants. But it was a similar feeling I had with Solder, where I was like, I think he'll be good, but we definitely overpaid.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And
I don't know if that's still up on my...
It was one of those things like the Golladay contract, Baddog, where you understood the overpay. Because
same thing with the Dory Jackson. We overpaid him too.
Yeah.
But you know what? Sometimes I don't know if that video is still on my. I don't know if that's still there. I don't think it is, because I think I made it in 2017 when McAdoo did come out with that, and I pretty much got rid of all the videos from 2017 on my page. But I said that too. McAdoo is right about everything, and I definitely said we overpaid for Solder. But what are you going to do? You're trying to fix your offensive line. He went out. He got the best guy that he could get. I mean, I didn't think he was going to be as bad. I didn't think he did struggle the way he struggled. Obviously, great quarterbacks put their guys in situations to succeed, which is one reason why I say Saquon Barkley one of the biggest reasons he had a great rookie season, because Eli Manning knew how to read defenses. Yep. Daniel Jones doesn't really know how to do that yet, or he hasn't shown. He can't do it like Eli did. I set up Saquon Barkley up. Okay, this ain't here. Change the blocking scheme. We're going to change the run. We're going to do this. And Barkley found a lot of open space to run with Eli there. It's something that goes underrated for Eli Manning and quarterbacks that are cerebral like a Tom Brady. They succeed for a reason. So, yeah, Solder was, and Brady was smart with stuff. But again, what can you do? You had to get the best guy. He was the best guy.
I read this today, and it's such like an overlooked thing about Eli Manning when we brought in Jones, and I think a lot of people didn't think about this. This article came out today. I just want to read a couple of the quotes about what some of his former players had to say about him and how this goes overlooked. I think a lot of people, just because of the all shucks attitude and the memes, they think Eli Manning was a not so smart quarterback. This is what some of his former receivers had to say about him today. I don't think people understand. Every Friday after practice, before we showered or any of that, we would go right into the receiver room with Eli, and he'd probably have 12 or 13 plays drawn up that he knew would work before the game started. Plays he knew were going to work, Manning added, on third down and whatever, short, long, whatever. We just knew he always knew what we were going to be lined up in. So he always wanted to have us prepared. He saw things that we didn't see as a receiving corps. And you knew on Friday to pay attention, Cruz said, drawing an agreement from Manning. If he's circling you, nobody made those adjustments better than Eli. Nobody saw the blitz zero better than Eli, for real. He knew it when it was coming. He knew the tendencies. He called it out. He got us to the right place every single time. After a while, you kind of just take that for granted until you go somewhere else with a quarterback that's not as experienced, and you're like, okay, this is different, Cruz said. So I think a lot of people overlooked the impact of losing Eli Manning and making that transfer to Daniel Jones, of what it did to the offensive line. Because having a quarterback as experienced as Eli Manning and throwing in a rookie like that, yeah, that's going to make your offensive line. That had a big impact on Nate Solder. It did. You know, I just wanted to read that because you made me think about it.
It's true. It's just something that goes overlooked. That's the best quarterbacks are able to read defenses. Tony Romo was great at reading defenses. There's certain guys that would point out, hey, this is coming from here. They're going to blitz over here. This is the mic. This is the cover 2. This is whatever, Tampa 2, whatever the hell. They knew it. They could see everything. And they would pick apart. Your great quarterbacks pick apart defenses. They take what defenses give them. Young quarterbacks have a hard time learning that in the NFL. It's why usually rookies struggle. That and the fact that they go to really bad teams.
Yeah. And Bano says, clean the whole house, everyone. Well, let's finish the year first, but I'm sure that we'll have plenty of time to talk about that if this season goes where you think it's going to go. Joel says, bad teams always find a way to lose.
They do.
You're right. Good teams find a way to win. Bad teams find a way to lose. I say that all the time.
It's fact.
True Rapper says, almost died an hour ago. My God. I'm glad you're okay, man. But always here when you stream. Well, I'm just glad you're alive. But man, thank you so much for being a great supporter, and thank you for popping in the stream. By the way, if anybody is not subscribed to Baddog Sports, we're gonna be doing this show on his channel next week. We're gonna be live streaming the Giants game here this week, live streaming the Giants game there next week, doing this show there next week.
We're talking about a win on the show next week.
We're gonna talk about a win. And we've had over 700 people in here all night with the Giants playing as bad as they are. Thank you to everybody that's showing up, talking Giants with us. We appreciate your support more than you know.
Absolutely.
And we're going to continue to support this football team and talk Giants football. But
damn right.
Can't do it without anywhere. So, without you guys, it'd be like talking to a wall. I might as well just call Bad Dog on the phone.
Yeah.
So, appreciate all you guys for.
But then Stephen and Lily wouldn't be able to look at these lovely faces if we did that. And he loves us.
And Mike, man, thank you very much, man. Mike says, guys, we lost 2 starters on the O-line. I know it's been a disaster. And that I can't put on Gettleman. That's just
not Gettleman's fault.
That Nick Gates going down and Shane Lemieux, that's just bad luck. Yeah. So that I can't get on them. And another thing I continue to say, Bad Dog, Rob Sale needs to get more credit than he has. What he's done, not that the offensive line has been fantastic, but what he's been able to do with this offensive line, with guys like that being hurt, without them addressing it in the offseason, losing Kevin Zeitler to make it look like at least a mediocre offensive line. Rob Sale deserves so much credit so far.
The offensive line is certainly not been as bad as a lot of us thought. They haven't been great by any stretch of the imagination, but they've been serviceable. Like Daniel Jones was able to have it. The biggest thing we need now is some holes for Saquon Barkley to get through.
Yeah. And hopefully that comes as teams start to pay more and more attention to Daniel Jones' legs.
And I think it will.
Yeah. Cruzon says, it's not about giving up on Barkley. My fear is that we show some life and we pay $15 million a year to justify the draft pick. We cannot do that.
I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, the only way that happens, Cruzon, is if we make the playoffs this year and have a really good year. That's what I've said from the beginning, and that's my honest opinion. And if we make the playoffs, we'll cross that road when we get there. Right now, the way the team's playing, doesn't look like you're going to have to worry about that, but hopefully they turn it around real quick. But if they win 6 or 7 games, they're not going to be giving Saquon Barkley that kind of money. Eric, man, thank you very much. If you look at it honestly, it's not a shock we lost to 2 good teams. Entertainer prepped us for a slow start. I'm not panicking yet. Yeah, I mean, Eric, I said 1-1, but here's what I will say, Eric, and I think I said this before the season started. I thought 0-2 was more logical than 2-0. I said 1-1, but I thought 0-2 was more logical than 2-0. And week 3 is where I thought the offense would kick it into gear. I thought the offense would be super mediocre the first 2 weeks. What's been discouraging for me, Eric, has been the defense. I did not see that coming. Do I think the defense can rebound? Yeah, but they got to do it. I got to see it before I believe it. But I think that, Eric, is why a lot of Giants fans are freaking out more. Like, if it was the offense and because it would have been justifiable. You're playing Washington, you're playing Denver, 2 really good defenses. Everybody was hurt in preseason, so it would have been like, okay, I expect a mediocre start for the offense. But I think it's the fact that it's the defense why so many Giants fans, and obviously the 0-2 start, they would have been that way no matter what. But you tack on the fact that the defense has looked the way it has. I think that is what has really set off the panic mode.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how good the teams are that we lost to. I'm not ready to say Washington is a good team, and we had them beat. And Denver, I know Denver's 2-0, but going into the year, who thought Denver was going to be any good? So
I thought Denver would be pretty good, but I'm not saying Super Bowl, but I thought they'd be pretty good.
I thought that was a winnable game. I thought both of those games are winnable for the Giants, but the Giants aren't as good as I thought they were going to be. So let's put it that way. I don't know if it's a product of them being good or a product of us being bad. Put it that way.
It's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Well, I here's what I'll say. I think Denver looked good. Like, I thought Denver outplayed us severely, and they looked like a better
They did.
They looked like a better football team. Washington, no. Washington, we should have won that game. They had the backup quarterback, and our offense moved the ball at will. The defense just couldn't stop them, and as a backup quarterback, there's no excuses there.
Then we lost 2 touchdowns because of a drop and a holding that wasn't there.
Yeah. Yeah. And these teams have no respect for our defense either. I mean, Denver.
No, they don't.
4th and 7, Denver went for it at midfield.
Yep. You play to win.
Yeah.
Baltimore said we're playing to win. 4th down from our own 45. We're running it on 4th and 1. We ain't giving that ball back to Mahomes. Trying to win the game. We kick it back to Mahomes. We pretty much just said we lost.
Yeah.
Giants got to be more aggressive. Again, you can't be conservative. That's not working. Got to do something different.
And Corey, man, he says, it seems like Peppers might ask for a trade soon.
Well,
I know he was upset with his playing time. I mean, I don't think he's going to be in the long-term plans for the Giants anyway. They're not.
This is last year here, so
Yeah, they're not signing him, man. If the Giants are out of it, look for Peppers to be traded if they could get something worthwhile.
yeah,
More
probably
than
a 4th-round pick for. I mean, it'll depend because you can get a comp pick for him.
Yeah, it would have to be. It would have to be. I would think at least a 3rd-round pick. But if you know, and hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully we're in it and we're buying and we're trying to bring in players. But if we are selling at the deadline, I think he's going to be one of the first players they look to trade. Blue Collar says, you guys try anything different this Sunday? I'm going to wear my Eli jersey. It's Eli Day. So that's
I am too, because it's Eli Day.
Yeah. So hopefully that works. Hopefully Eli, and if we win, I'll continue to wear the Eli jersey. But hopefully Eli it finds a way to get us a win on Sunday.
Hopefully we find a way to win.
Yeah. Will, man, thank you very much. I believe we are a decent team, but but we are a mentally weak team in key spots because they either have a bad turnover, key flags, terrible effort in key moments. Who takes the blame for the coach? The coach has to take the. I mean, obviously the players too, but the coach is supposed to be the guy that motivates these players, the guy that puts these guys. You got to give some of the responsibility to Joe Judge. I mean, obviously the players as well, but the coach has to take some responsibility, Baddog.
Yeah, well, listen, I said that earlier in the stream that the Giants have these things where they have bad penalties, turnovers at the worst possible times. They hurt themselves a lot. I'm not saying that they're the most talented team, but God, if they cleaned up the mistakes, we would definitely at least be 1-1 this year. They if Daniel Jones doesn't, I'm not saying we would have won the game against Denver, but we're right in it. If we score a touchdown there, we're right in it. We're right in that game. If we score anyway. But the fumble kind of deflated the whole game. It's not like Denver blew us out.
Well, and you could also not just the fumble. You could look at like the poor finishing of plays on defense. Like we had Bridgewater
the inability to tackle.
Yeah, we had Bridgewater dead to rights like 3 times, and he stiff armed us. And was able to make bigger plays. So poor fundamentals on defense definitely had a lot to do with that game. As bad of a blowout as that felt, it was this close to not being. I mean, we gave up 3-4
the Giants were right in that game until the 4th quarter.
Yeah, it's a game of inches, man. And sometimes as they start to pull away, the game gets out of hand.
And again, if we were a good team, we win those games. We're not a good team, so we lose them.
Yeah.
Got to find ways to win. They got to find ways to win.
Yeah.
Got to build that culture of winning.
And Zahib says, worst comes to worst, DJ isn't it, blow it up. Any names come to mind for GM and head coach position? People have asked me the GM. I'm not gonna. I don't have any names right now outside of from inside the organization. As far as the head coach goes, I mean, I don't even know who's going to be available at the end of the year. I don't know how these teams are going to do. Outside of college, like some people may look to college coaches, but I don't even know that. I don't even know the route the New York Giants would go at that point.
Maybe Jim Harbaugh is a guy you look at head coach.
Harbaugh's a guy I brought up in the past, actually, when they were looking when people were saying are they going to move on from Shermer. That was a guy I'd be interested in, but who knows, man? I have no idea. I have no idea where they would look to for either one of those positions. Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what they'd want the direction of the team to be. I hope it doesn't happen, though. I hope Judge is the guy going forward.
Yeah.
And if DJ is the guy, but we have a mediocre season, what do you do?
Well, Daniel Jones here for another year.
Yeah. So if Jones is good and we are a bad team because of the other parts of this team, like the defense, which is right now looks like that could be the case. But it's one game. We'll see how Daniel Jones continues to play and how the defense continues to play. But if Jones is really good and the defense is really bad and we win 6 or 7 games, you stick with Jones. You don't just throw that away. You stick with Jones. I think you bring Judge back in that scenario, and you more than likely move on from Gettleman. I think that's what you do in that scenario.
Yep.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't want to bring in a head coach that has no ties to Jones if you want to stick with Jones. And if Jones is really good this year, and the record is not strictly a quarterback stat, Deshaun Watson won 4 games the year before. Jones could just have a really bad football team and win 6 or 7 games. I think you stick with Jones, you stick with Judge, and you move on from Gettleman. Irishman, thank you very much. Hey, guys, just checking in to see what's up. Kevin, did you receive a package today? Go Giants, go Yankees.
I only go to my P.O. box on Saturdays because it's like 20 minutes south of me, so I can't do it during well, I could, but I don't. I go to the gym during the night, so I don't usually go down there during the week, but I usually go check it Saturday, so I don't know. I guess I could let you know tomorrow when I check it out.
I appreciate you for popping in, Irish Rover, and yeah, well, go Giants. I'm a Met fan. Baddog's a Yankee
fan.
fan.
If it is Irish, it better not be another damn Red Sox hat. I burned that son of a bitch already. And that video, I should put that video back up. If we play the Red Sox in the wild card, I will put the video of me burning the Red Sox hat.
You haven't shown the you showed the video, right?
Yeah, I took it down, but I will.
Oh, you took it down. Okay.
I will bring it back.
Mike Green says, "Hey guys, let's go Big Blue. Beat Atlanta. Must-win game this week, Mike. Man,
gotta win.
Appreciate you for popping in the stream. Let's go get a W, man. Let's feel much better. I want to be talking about positive things going into week 4. Let's go and get a win against Atlanta." Kyle says, "I'll be at the game this Sunday. No longer live in New York City, so hopefully the Giants don't make me drive 2 hours from Pennsylvania just to see them lose. I'll lose it."
Only 2 hours? It's not bad.
It's not that
3.5 hours for me.
I ain't making no guarantees, Kyle, but I do think you'll go home happy. I do. Last week I thought we'd lose. This week I think we'll win. I do, in my heart, I really do think you'll be happy, but I could be completely wrong. But hopefully I'm right. Albert says, "Reece was the problem, to be fair to Gettleman. He had to rebuild the whole team." Yeah, I mean,
at the beginning, you could say that.
And again, if this team don't work out this year, Gettleman's got to go. You can't keep saying blah, 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 blah. But, yeah, I mean, the same thing I said about Albin, the same thing. And that's why I've tried to give Gettleman as much of a chance as I felt like I could. And I think Bad Dog's the same way. I think we've been more than fair to Dave Gettleman. But we talk about how Daniel Jones is put in a bad situation. We talk about how Saquon Barkley's put in a bad situation. Dave Gettleman was put in a bad situation. And I think we acknowledge that as Giants fans. Yeah. And that's why we gave him as much time as we felt like was a fair amount of time to try to get this thing going in the right direction.
But this is his team now.
Yeah, at this point, it's his team. There's the only guys on this team that he has no
Engram and Shepard.
Engram and Shepard. That's it. It was Dalvin Tomlinson and Gallman last year. They're gone.
Yep.
So it's 2 players. 51 players are his.
And one of the best players on the team is Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, it's true. Roldy, man, thank you very much. All I know is we better win Sunday. I don't want to hear blank. We better, because if we don't, it's gonna. I agree. It's make or break this week.
It's hell every week, Roldy. So let's win, man. I'm sick of it.
It's not like it's not. It can't be much worse in terms of it being hell than last week in terms of the fan response. Rightfully so.
No, it can be. It gets worse every week.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. But this is a big game. Mike, man, thank you very much. Says, "Thanks, guys. You rock, man." No, thank you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you to all you guys for popping in the stream, supporting the show, supporting the channel, both our channels.
The best on YouTube, baby. The best chat on YouTube. The best fan base on YouTube. New York Giants fans. Don't care what anybody.
You go around right now. You got, I watch other YouTubers, not really. I'm subscribed to a lot of people. I try to spend less time on YouTube. I tell you that all the time. But once in a while, I'll pop into a stream here and there. And you'll see teams that are 2-0, big YouTubers. They got 300-400 people in there. Giants fans, they continue to support us. It's incredible. We say it every week, but I feel like we don't say it enough. As poor of a product as this team puts forward, you guys continue to watch us and continue to support our content. So I can't say thank you enough.
All right, wait till we're like, 7-3 sometime. We'll have 2,000 people in here.
Yeah,
yeah.
That and the ghost of Judah.
What happens soon?
He says, "Bye AMC and thanks for Fields, bozos. 0-3 on the way. Go Bear." No, you guys are losing this week. You guys are dropping 1. We're both going to be 1-2 this week. Ghost of Judah.
All I'll say is this: I don't get involved in stocks, and I especially won't take stock advice from somebody on YouTube, Judah. So thanks for that. We'll not do that. And as far as Fields goes, he isn't going to be very good. So you're welcome for him. Thank you for the first round pick. Thank you for the top 10 pick coming our way. We appreciate that, bozo. I love Judah.
and Judah,
don't mess with me, boy. I talk trash back. You know that.
And thank you for popping in, Judah. Appreciate it, man. I know you're a big supporter of Bad Dogs. And I appreciate that.
Judah's the man, but you're not going to talk down to my Giants. I will defend.
Here's what I'm going to say about Fields. And I like Fields. I think Fields could be a good quarterback. But here's what I'll say about Fields. We talk about how our players were set up for failure, and you know your Bears better than me. But the book on the Bears, their offensive line stinks.
It's bad.
And if you don't get that offensive line situated quickly, it's going to be hard for Fields to be successful there. So that, much like us talking about the line, you guys got to be fixing your line.
This year's he's a rookie, so he's going to struggle this year. And you know me, I don't like Ohio State quarterbacks. I never do, but I have said if there is one guy that I would take from Ohio State, it would be Justin Fields, because I do think that he's better than Haskins coming out. I do think he was better than Cardale Jones and Terrell Pryor. I definitely think he was a much better quarterback than that. But again, you're going to struggle. He did not go to a very good team with the Bears, or very good offense. Their defense is still really good, but their offense is going to struggle, especially without Cohen there for however long he's out. That really hurts too. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But again, Judah, it's nothing personal. It's just business. I know it's not like I hate the Bears, but we need a better draft pick. We need you to lose this year. After this year, you can ball out. I hope Justin Fields balls out. I don't care. Be bad.
I give Authentic a shout out in reference to the AMC Ape Nation. I know all the people that own AMC call themselves apes. So want to give Authentic a shout out. I saw him post all the apes there. So I do not own AMC. I do own a lot of stocks. I do not own AMC, but I hope for your guys' sake, for Ape Nation, that goes to the moon. Corey says, 2004, did you want Eli or Rivers? I wanted Eli. Eli was my guy all the way that year. I was ecstatic when the New York Giants traded up to get him. And I highly suggest it's one of my favorite books I've ever read. And obviously I'm a sports guy. I'm not a big book reader. Even though I do dabble every now and again in books, but one of my favorite books I ever read. And if you're a Giant fan, you have to read it. Ernie Accorsi wrote a book about his experience with the New York Giants. And it was focused around, actually, I think it was a book about Eli Manning and his career, but there was a large portion. I think it was written by Ernie Accorsi, or written by somebody from Ernie Accorsi's perspective. And Ernie Accorsi, the descriptive detail he went into of him knowing that Eli Manning was the guy, definitely check that book out. I don't know the quotes off the top of my head, but the Giants were completely sold on Eli Manning in that draft. And Ben Roethlisberger was actually third for I'm sorry. Phillip Rivers was third for them. Ben Roethlisberger was second. They drafted Rivers because the Chargers wanted him. They had Ben too, but Eli was far and away their number one.
Yeah, I definitely wanted Eli. Definitely wanted Eli Manning. Absolutely. I didn't know much about Phillip Rivers at all, to be honest. I did not know much about Phillip. Roethlisberger was another guy that I liked. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have had a problem if they did go that route, but I definitely wanted Eli.
Yeah. Zahib says, if Gettleman leaves you guys, do you think Judge has a say in the new GM? I'm so tired of the last few years. Chris, you reinvigorated my hopes for the season. Let's go. I am not trying to get you guys. Don't blame me if the team starts losing. I'm just not quitting on the team yet. I don't think Baddog's quitting on the team yet either.
It's 2 games, man.
Yeah, it's 2 games, but I appreciate you popping this.
You were 1-6 last year. We ended up having a chance to win the division. So I'm not giving up on this. Hell, they were 1-6. I came out and said we're the best team in the NFC. Everybody thought I was insane. Didn't look insane the second half of the season.
But as far as his question about Judge having a new say in the new GM, I mean, Zahib, if I'm being fair, should he?
No, he shouldn't.
I mean, and I know people like Judge, and I like Judge. I really like Judge. I love his personality, and I hope he's the guy. But Judge won 6 games last year. And if Gettleman gets fired, it means we have another really bad year. Should Judge have say in who the GM? I don't think he should. No. So I would actually think it's a bad idea if the Giants gave him saying who the GM was going to be. Cruz on, man. Thank you very much. We cannot give up on DJ. I'm convinced. You actually give this guy a competent O-line, he will be very good. Jets fans are sick watching Darnold win. I'm going to tell you right now, Cruz on, and it may happen. It may happen that we move on from DJ. Very possible what the state of the organization's in right now. It's an extreme possibility. We're talking about flipping GMs, coaches, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to tell you right now, Cruz on, and I have not been this outspoken for Daniel Jones since I've been on YouTube. I do believe if we move on from Daniel Jones, and it might be the right decision, because you have to, how could you justify giving a guy a mega contract if the team can't win when he's on a rookie deal because you haven't been able to support him properly? But I do believe in my heart that if we move on from Daniel Jones, he is going to be successful somewhere else.
He's got a great skill set. I didn't like the pick that night. I mean, obviously, when the hell I always love people are like, oh, you don't know, how do you not like that? I'm like, shut up. Nobody watches Duke football. Just stop lying. Nobody watches. People that go to Duke don't even watch Duke football. Okay, so I knew nothing about Daniel Jones, and then I watched him as highlights. Go, oh, way more athletic than I thought. And, watching him play with the Giants in the preseason, I'm like, I still say to this day, when I did the Jalen Hurts has an it factor. And people are like, how could you say that? He sucks. Well, Tim Tebow had an it factor. He wasn't any good, right? Johnny Manziel, just because you have an it factor doesn't mean you're good. It means you believe in yourself. Okay? Daniel Jones needs to find that. But Daniel Jones' skill set is very good. He has a very good deep ball. He's accurate down the field. He's very mobile. His biggest enemy is himself. Daniel Jones' biggest problem is himself. And I'm hoping the game against Washington gave him some confidence because he was the best player on the field for the Giants. And I'm hoping that Jason Garrett implements that running because Daniel Jones, when he is just playing football, when you're running, you're not thinking. You're instinctual. He did that against Tampa Bay the first game that he played. He needs more of that. That was successful. They got to build on that. They don't need to run him all the time. You got to mix it in like they did against Washington. You got to keep that. His legs are a weapon. Use them. Use them. You want to use your weapons? His legs are a big weapon. Use them.
I agree. They can't shy away from that. No, you can't shy away from that.
I think it helps him.
I want to say what's up to Word. Word's the man. And he believes there will be no difference. And listen, we'll see. But the reason that I think
he'd be really good on another team. Put him on Kansas City.
Yeah, the reason I think there is a difference, Word, is just because the supporting cast would be much better. You know, you look at what the Panthers did for Darnold. If he went to Denver with Shermer, we saw how he looked in that scheme. Their defense, they got a ton of good young wide receivers over there. If he went to, I'm trying to think of place he could land. If he went to the Colts with a great offensive line they've got over there, if he went to the Steelers with the success they've had at quarterbacks in the past, I do think there's landing spots for Daniel
Dallas.
Well, they got Dak right now, but
no, I'm saying if he was in Dallas,
well, if he was there, if he was with Cleveland, Dallas, I do think he can win football games, and I do think if we do move on from, I agree with Cruz, and I think he's going to be a successful quarterback. I look around in this league, and I'm not saying he's an incredible talent, but I look around in this league, Bad Dog.
He's good enough to win.
Sunday, I'm watching the games, Bad Dog, and because the Giants didn't play, so I got to watch all the games, and I'm like, he's just as good as this guy. I'm not saying every quarterback, but I'm like, if he's in this situation, Daniel Jones can win football games. I think the team's more the problem than Daniel Jones. That's my honest opinion.
I just read in the comments as if a quarterback needs to use his legs, he's not as good as everyone thinks. That's not the way the game's played today. The mobility of the quarterback's a massive part of what quarterbacks do. You can't tell me that because Kyler Murray uses his legs, he's not a good quarterback. Kyler Murray is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, as is Russell Wilson, as is Aaron Rodgers. All those guys use their legs. You can't tell me that they're no good because they use their legs. Yeah, Tom Brady, that's a dying breed. The pocket passer is not really around anymore. Most of these quarterbacks are mobile. But you can't tell me just because they use their legs, they're not as good as everybody thinks. There's certain guys, Cam Newton was a lot of legs and not a lot of arm. He had an arm talent, but he's not the best quarterback you've ever seen. And I'll say the same thing about Lamar Jackson. He's talented, but is he a great quarterback where he's accurate, he makes all the right reads? But I don't think he is. Maybe he can turn into that. Josh Allen turned into that. Josh Allen's another mobile guy. There really isn't a lot of immobile quarterbacks. Dak Prescott's a mobile quarterback. Jalen Hurts is a mobile quarterback. Tom Brady's not. But who's a younger quarterback that's not mobile that's successful?
Well, let's look around the league. I mean, I even watched Darnold last night. He could move.
Darnold can run?
It's not like he has two left.
Deshaun Watson can run?
Watson, obviously. But Russell Wilson, obviously.
Aaron Rodgers?
Look at our division. All of them could run in our division.
Right.
So
Justin Fields can run, right? Trevor Lawrence can run. I'm not saying those guys are going to be great, but they're all mobile.
Yeah. Mac Jones is not mobile. There's one.
Okay.
But there's not many. Let's put it that way. There's not many.
There's not many.
Most quarterbacks in today's game at least have the ability.
Zach Wilson can run. They can run. It's part of what they do now. It's part of it. Should they rely on their legs? No. Like you can't be that can't be like the first thing you go to is he's got to run. They can't be run first because then they're not good quarterbacks. If you run first, like that's why I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts because I think he's more of a run first than a pass quarterback. But you need to implement that. I'm not saying Daniel Jones needs to run 12 times a game, but he ran 5 times against Washington. I think that's good. I thought
he ran more than that. He only ran 5 times.
I think it was 5 for 95. I could be wrong. I thought it was 5 carries for 95 yards.
Yeah.
But I think anywhere from 3 to 7 designed runs or RPOs for Daniel Jones is good.
Yeah, there's a couple you guys are mentioning. Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Ryan, but the majority
But
of
Matt Ryan's not a younger quarterback. He's
he's not
veteran.
a younger quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about like
Majority of
the
young
younger
quarterbacks coming
the
in.
guys coming out of college.
And I never want to run first quarterback. I'll
Yeah,
say
no,
that.
that's what I'm saying. No, you
I
don't
don't want
that.
to run first quarterback, but I do like a quarterback that can make plays with his legs.
Yeah. Steve Young could do that way back
yeah.
in the day. He was a great
Could
quarterback.
you imagine Steve Young in this era when you can't hit the quarterback?
Can you imagine Dan Marino in this era?
Yeah, I'm just saying because Young's mobility. Steve Young.
I'm just saying the receivers being able to not be touched.
Oh my God!
You imagine Dan
Steve
Marino?
Young would be perfect for this era.
Imagine Dan Marino. He throw for 6,000 yards every year.
Oh my
Dan
God.
Marino was so damn good, man. I mean, that, like, talent-wise, that could be the best quarterback I've ever seen. He was special, way ahead of his time. The dude threw for 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns in 1984. Nobody was close to that.
Yeah. Imagine Vic or Cunningham. Yeah, I mean, they were both great talents. To me, I wouldn't say Vic was run first, but he was I love Vic. He's one of my most exciting players. Well, I didn't love him when he was with the Eagles. I loved him when he was with the Falcons. But one of the most exciting players I've ever seen. To me, he was closer to run first than pass first.
Oh, he definitely was. He was very inaccurate.
He was closer to run first than pass first. Cunningham was a good thrower of the football.
Cunningham was really freaking good.
Yeah, Cunningham was really good.
Cunningham is one of my favorite Eagles of all time, and it's one Eagle that I actually respect. Him, Reggie White, Eric Allen. Those are a few guys, but most Eagles I couldn't stand. But I liked Randall. I rooted for Randall, especially in '98. I wanted the Vikings to make the Super Bowl that year for him, and obviously it didn't happen. But I don't know. I just Michael Vick changed the game, though. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna close that in like 2 minutes. We're going a little overtime. I just get caught up in the conversation, and this was a really interesting. This would actually be a great video for somebody to make. I'm sure somebody's made it. He says, "Do y'all think those quarterbacks, would be better or worse in this era?" I think it's situational, but listen, man. With the rules that are in place today, Authentic, when you can't hit the quarterback
and you can't touch a receiver, you can't touch the receiver.
It's a much easier game in terms of, the offenses are much more complex. The teams get the balls out so fast. I think Dan Marino would carve this era up to shreds. Now, I think there's some quarterbacks in that era that, maybe weren't nearly as good as Marino that maybe would struggle in this era. But I think guys like Marino would benefit from this era. I think a guy like Steve Young would benefit. Steve Young had so many concussions. He probably wouldn't have as many concussions in this era because you can't touch the quarterback.
John Elway's another one. He would dominate in this era.
John Elway would dominate. Yeah. I think the majority of them would be better. It's a quarterback-friendly league. I mean, you look right now, Baddog.
Joe Montana would be better if that's possible.
Yeah. You look right now, in today's game, man, look around the league. Like Derek Carr, rather. He's probably viewed as an average quarterback. He's putting up incredible stats.
He's got 800 passing yards in the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean,
440 yards against Baltimore.
It's such a quarterback-friendly league nowadays. They make it impossible to play defense.
They do.
So I do think the majority of them would be better quarterbacks in this era. But that's why it's hard to compare era to era like any other sport. Baseball.
The only way you can really compare them is by comparing them to their peers when they played. That's really the only way you can compare eras.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Game. That's really the only way you can do it.
Different game, man.
Like you look at Lawrence Taylor, there was no linebacker, nobody close to him. Nobody.
That's what I always said about Lawrence Taylor and why I think, and obviously I didn't get to watch him like you did. I watched him at the very tail end of his career as a kid. But the reason why I think you can make a strong argument that Lawrence Taylor is the greatest player ever. Joe Montana, as great as he is, system quarterback. If he's not in Bill Walsh's offense, is he the same quarterback with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? You put Lawrence Taylor on any team in the NFL, he's Lawrence Taylor.
The guy was just ridiculous.
And that's why I think you can make a strong case that he's the greatest.
Hey, I was indoctrinated right away. I told you the first time I ever sat down and watched a Giants, but the first thing out of my dad's mouth, watch Lawrence Taylor, watch 56. Oh, watch LT. So he said, watch LT. I know what the hell LT. What do you mean LT? Watch 50. I think I might even said, what's LT? And he said 50. Watch 56. So
Zach says he can't stand this. I don't know why. I guess he doesn't like LT talk. He thinks quarterback should always be the best. I don't know. Yeah. But sorry, Zach. But we are going to close it out. We went a little bit past overtime. Appreciate all the support from all you guys. Looking forward to being able to call the game this week. It's going to be on my channel. Thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you guys for continuing to watch, us when we suck. You still support the channel. You still support the live.
Well, Chris, we don't suck. The Giants.
The Giants suck.
And Peyton and Eli, come on.
But thank you guys. I appreciate it, man. And of course, Bad Dog, thank you for coming on. Looking forward to calling the game with you on Sunday as well. Just 2 days away. And let's get a friggin' win. I mean, this is a game we should win. There's no excuses not to. Let's go out there and let's get a win. And let's start getting some better vibes with the New York Giants.
Absolutely. Hey, listen, my favorite thing I do on YouTube, it's going to be 3 years that we've been doing this. You mentioned earlier, we mentioned every stream, best supporters and subscribers on YouTube. You guys are unbelievable. Your support's overwhelming. We appreciate the hell out of you. Since we started doing this, we have not been over 500. We've been a laughing stock. We had to listen to shit from every team in this division. We haven't been able to beat the Eagles. We haven't been able to beat the Cowboys. Washington just won the damn division. And you guys show up all the time. You guys and girls are amazing. And we deserve a win as fans. We deserve a win on Eli Manning. We're retiring the second greatest Giants in the history of the Giants number. It's in our house. Atlanta's no good. Got to win. Got to freaking win. We need, like Chris said, we need positive vibes. It'll do a world of good, not just for the fan base, but for the New York Giants themselves. They need a damn W. This is a beatable team. This is a winnable game. They got to go out. They got to execute. They got to play like they want it, damn it. They have to be aggressive. They got to play to freaking win and not sit there and worry about what may go wrong or what may happen. Just play football. Just go out like you're in your backyard, drop a play. Hey, you run to the mailbox, you run over here to the pile of dog shit, and whatever. Let's go.
Had to give Afghanistan a shout out when I saw that comment. 3 years of Talking Giants streaming, I've been in every single one. He's the man.
That's awesome because he was like 1 of 5 in the first.
Yeah, he was. He was like 1 of 5 in the first one.
Yeah. And I'll never forget your father. The first time we did the show, I always remember his comments. Said you two have great chemistry.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that as long as I live. I'm like, that was the first time we ever worked together, and it just clicked. Yeah. And I may say it, and again, I'm not trying to take credit for anything because, like I said, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, and you're always influenced by somebody. But to my knowledge, this is the longest running show on YouTube of this kind, where there's a couple of content creators that talk about their football team. So I'm proud to be a part of this. I'm proud to be a part of this fan base. I love this freaking show, and we're winning on Sunday. Damn it, we're winning.
Can't wait. Can't wait, man. And like you said, and prediction score real quick. We should have said that during the stream. I'm going to go 34-24 Giants. I got us by about 10.
I hope you're right. I would like a 10-point win. 30-27 Giants. Atlanta misses a field goal, and we don't jump off sides.
But thank you to everybody. And like Bad Dog said, if we're going to do it for anybody this week, do it for Eli. The guy deserves it. The guy put up with so much crap from inside the fan base and outside the fan base throughout his entire career. Never pointed the finger at anybody but himself. Great leader. The epitome of what a New York Giant should be. Yep. Let's go out there. And if we're going to win any game this year, let's win this one for Eli. But thank you, everybody.
Let's beat the Eagles twice, please. If we're going to win another game, can we beat the Eagles on the 28th so I don't have to wear that?
That would be the second most important.
Garbage jersey. Well, Strahan's numbers getting retired that day.
Yes, that's right. Good
point. And he owned John Runyon, so let's go.
Do it, Bad Dog.
Hey, for the Entertainment Talking Sports, a Bad Diggity Dizzle. See you guys on Sunday. We gone. Peace.